My sister is in Fairly and I'm glad. Original post. I too, 8-year-old female, have an older sister, Angela, 30-year-old female, whom I have never liked. She always had to compete with me, but never in a normal sibling rivalry way. Our entire life she always seemed resentful of my existence, as though the spotlight could not perpetually shine on her, so she had to step on everything I enjoyed. For example, if I learned piano, she had to learn piano. If I excelled at a subject, she suddenly became a scholar in it. If I told my mom I had a crush, Angela would be dating that boy within a week. I would always tell my parents when she did this, but I was disregarded because sisters copy each other, and I could not gatekeep what she likes. She always monitored what activities I did and the clothes I wore so she could outdo me. If I wore a flannel, Angela would come to school wearing an all-flannel dress. It was 2010 and that was peak fashion in our school, laughing my ass off. There was also more praise that followed Angela. Even if I took the initiative to begin the activity first, she was praised because she was better. My parents would miss work to attend her dance recitals, going to every single one, because the world would supposedly stop if they missed it. However, I remember maybe 2 of mine that they attended because they were stuck at work or were otherwise preoccupied. Angela reveled in this. She would make comments under her breath around our parents. Whenever our parents were not around, she would tell me how much she hated me and how I should stop trying because I would always come second to her. She also physically bullied me in school. Angela purposely tripped me, threw things at me, and hit me in the hallways on a nearly daily basis. The school had gotten involved multiple times, threatening Angela with suspension, and my parents fought it every time. My parents repeatedly told the administration that this was a family matter, and we were just bickering like normal sisters. She was never once reprimanded by either parent. Once Angela was caught impaling a cat on the school fence and my parents still defended her, saying this was normal teenage behavior. I often was the one in trouble as Angela would start crying, saying how she was being targeted by the school when I had antagonized her. After one of these occasions, Angela cut and bruised herself to prove to Dad that I was the aggressor. I became a pariah due to Angela's malicious rumors about me, so it was difficult for me to make friends. I resorted to only befriending people from other districts. Angela eventually made sure I had nobody by stalking them, befriending them, and telling all my friends lies about how I was favored by our parents and I constantly bullied and belittled her. She even stole boyfriends of mine doing this, convincing them I was horribly mean and an awful person who copied her every move. Once she catfished me on MySpace for 4 months and baited me into sending her nude photos, which she proceeded to send to my parents and everyone in school, including teachers. Later on, she told one of the boys I liked that those were actually her pictures and I had catfished her. On the day of my high school graduation, my mom sat me down and told me Angela had revealed the horrid abuse she had suffered at my hand, and I was no longer welcome in their home. After moving out the next day, my parents made very few attempts to communicate with me, only the occasional holiday and birthday text message. All financial aid was also abruptly ended as soon as I stepped foot on campus. I met my now husband shortly after this, and we were married within a year. They did not feel inclined to attend my wedding or even congratulate me. I informed my parents when I had my first child 8 years ago as an opening, but they have made no attempt to contact or meet any of my 3 children. The best I know of Angela now, from what I have heard, is that she got married to one of the boyfriends she stole from me in high school, and she has been posting about her infertility issues and how she cannot offer my parents their first grandbaby. After years of silence, I received a text message at 8 o'clock this morning from my mother that I will copy and paste below. Hey name, it's me, your mama. We haven't talked in a while, and I surely miss you terribly. I wanted to let you know. Your sister just had a miscarriage earlier this week. Angie and Justin are struggling a lot right now. Send something a little sweet her way, I'm sure she would appreciate it. Get back to me. I love you. I hate to say it, but I am glad she is suffering. I am glad she does not get to be a mother. If she tormented me for years, what would she do to a child? Especially a girl? I do not wish death on any baby, but I know in my heart that child would be damaged by her. I am angry at my parents for expecting me to have any sense of obligation to her. I do not even have any sense of obligation to them. They always believed her and dismissed me. I was always the problem child, and it is strange how my mother can be so warm to me when asking me to do something for my sister. Also, the fact that they cared more about my sister's now deceased fetus than my actual children, who wonder why they only have one set of grandparents. I feel some sort of guilt for it, but I refuse to offer any condolences to my destructive, narcissistic sister who has been justified in her bad behavior since birth. Maybe this will change her, help her develop empathy or any type of emotion that is not hate or vindictiveness. If that happens, I would be more than willing to offer support. But until then, I feel nothing but a small inkling of happiness that she is hurt. Am I awful for this? Update 3 days later in the comments. Hey, I am back with an update. I wanted to thank all of you sincerely for the comments, awards, and personal messages I have received. I feel very emotional knowing that my account of my childhood is finally being believed and met with warmth and support. It has been hard for me to talk about because many people believe I am being disingenuous or overdramatic. It is hard to believe, so I understand that reaction. Truly, thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I decided not to respond to my mother. I blocked both of my parents, and I thought it would end there, but when does it ever? Wednesday morning, my Facebook Messenger was being flooded with text messages from my parents' siblings. Most of the messages consisted of me being told I needed to answer my mother's calls, and how callous I was being. I proceeded to block all of them as well. My cousin heard about this from her younger sister, who is subject to being around my parents and Angela for family dinners. My mother and her siblings all live within a couple of blocks from each other and eat together most nights. I do not know if I can post the screenshot, so I will type out the messages. Aunt Kathy equals my mom. I hope that makes this easier to understand. Angela kept calling OP an abusive ingrate because she would not talk to Aunt Kathy. Aunt Kathy said they need to start inviting OP to family gatherings so she comes around to being a surrogate. It got weird very quickly because Angela said she wants to use my husband's sperm so her child is tall and has blue eyes. Then Kathy was saying how they just need to be around her for about a year, then they can cut her off again or whatever. Angela kept saying, OP is the only way she can have children because she does not want to raise someone's trash baby. Reading those messages made me want to vomit. Do they think my uterus is some kind of fish hatchery that can be bought with a few kind words and a casserole? It is nice to know Angela is too much of a narcissistic jerk to adopt though. I am officially done with every single one of them. If they try to come near me, I will get a restraining order before they can even darken my doorstep. Between the weak conspiracy they have come up with to try to use me like some sort of baby bargain bin and the nasty words they continue to say about me, I will no longer claim to have a family outside of the one I have created. I am sorry if this is difficult to read, but reading that again just made me extremely upset. However, all of you finally got the update you asked for, so I suppose that is the silver lining. Anyway, thank you again. Reminder, do not comment on the original posts or contact the original poster. I am not the original poster. This is a repost. Story 2. I cheated on my wife with her sister. Original post. I know the title sounds bad, but I need to get this off my chest. I am a 3-5-year-old male, and my wife is a 3-4-year-old female. We were childhood sweethearts. We did everything together, and she was the love of my life. I proposed to her when I was 20. I thought it was the right time, and so did she. When I was 26 and she was 25, we had our daughter. We were so happy. She was the one thing our life was missing. We were such a happy family. Then, a few months after the birth of our first child, she became pregnant again, and later gave birth to our son. Again, we were so happy. Now, we had our little family of 4. Before anyone asks why we had children so young, after high school, I got my degree in accounting. Then I went to work for my father. My father's company is big, and I was able to make a lot of money. Yes, when we got married, we agreed to sign a premarital agreement. We went on dates very often, and our bedroom life was amazing. I showered her and our children with gifts and flowers 3 times a week. We had a big house. I was able to give her the dream life we would always talk about when we were teenagers. I thought we were happy, yet she still cheated on me. I found out she had a hookup app. When I confronted her about it, she did not deny it. She said I was always absent, and she did not have a way to feel fulfilled. I wanted to leave, but I did not for my children, even though my pain was too much to even look at her. We went to counseling and we did okay for a while, but one day, maybe 2 months later, she said she was hooking up with men every night. She even had a few men over at the house, and in our bed, in the house I paid for. At this point, my children were 8 and 7. We knew divorce would be hard on them since they loved us both so much. I did not want them to have a tainted image of her. Through my grief and pain, I stayed, but I moved her into the guest bedroom. You are probably wondering where her sister, a 30-year-old female, comes in. Well, throughout all this, she was my rock. My family would not have understood my pain. My wife's family always favored her, because her sister was the mistake baby. I still loved my wife, but I did not know she made her sister's life hell. My wife was barely home after she moved into the guest bedroom. Now our children barely saw their mother. Whenever they spoke to her, she was either rude, cold, or ignored them. When she came home, she would get something to eat or drink, go to her room, and stay there. So my wife's sister was there for our children. She was at the house a lot. She picked up my children and did things with them. She was also home when my wife was home, but my wife did not care. After 2 years of this, my children started to call her Mom. She did not want them to if they did not want to, but they wanted to. That made me happy. They had only spoken a handful of times to their mother by then. They were used to it, and so was I. My wife's sister and I would spend a lot of time together, and I loved it. So did she. Now this leads me to the current situation. I had booked a trip to Fiji for me, my wife, and our children. My wife's sister wanted us to try to fix things. I tried to do that for the first year, but I stopped trying since she was not trying. So I went to my wife and told her about the trip. She yelled at me and told me to fuck off and that she was not coming. She even referred to her own children as those little shits. She said they were not hers anymore and it was a mistake to even have them. That threw me off, but I did not persist. So I asked my wife's sister and told her what happened. She said yes, and we arrived last week. It has been amazing. My children, my wife's sister, and I have had a blast. They love her, and this makes me so happy knowing they have a mother figure throughout all the drama of the past 3 years. This leads to last night. My children met another family with children, so they spent the night with them. That left me and my wife's sister alone. We talked about the children and life in general. With the mood and atmosphere, we could both tell something was going on between us, and I kissed her. She stopped me and asked if I really wanted to do this, and said that it did not seem right. I told her I did and that I felt like we could both feel it. We were not sharing a room. My children shared a bed, and I had one next to them. My wife's sister had the master bedroom, but we ended up sleeping together. Yes, I know it is bad, but nothing like this had happened before. The setting really set us up. Right now, I am lying in bed next to her typing this out, about to text my lawyer. She is still sleeping. I just needed to get this out. I know not many people will read this, but it would be good to know, if even one person does. Thanks. First update later that night. I deleted my original account because I realized how wrong I was for not divorcing my wife. I do not know who is going to see this, but it is worth a shot, I guess. To clear up confusion, yes, I let my children stay with a family. They just met because there were other children there, not just mine and the family. Yes, my wife stayed with us because she did not really have anywhere else to go when she cheated. And when I said my children were born a month apart, I meant that my son was conceived a few months after my daughter. I am sorry for the confusion. I was really nervous while writing it. Because of my infidelity and hers as well, I am entitled to give her a sum of my money. I do not give two flying fucks about that because I am very well off, unlike her, because she does not really work. If there is any more confusion, I will clear it up. I got home this morning. It is now the afternoon. We went straight back to my house. When we walked in, my wife was waiting on the couch. She was very upset. She asked why the fuck I brought her sister on the trip because I could have just discarded her ticket. No, I could not have. They cost a fortune. Even though I am well off, I teach my children the value of money, and I thought she knew that too. I was obviously wrong. I told her this, and asked if she could calm down so we could talk. She would not calm down unless her sister was gone, so I told them to wait in the car. So I sat down with her and asked if she had men over while we were gone. Of course she did. At that moment, what a few of you said about my children maybe not being mine popped into my head, so I asked her. She said she had slept with one man a little before my daughter was born. My stomach dropped. She said she did not think it was his because of how much my daughter looks like me, but she also said the man she slept with kind of looked like me. So I am planning to get a deoxyribonucleic acid DNA test done on both my children. After that, I told her I wanted a divorce. To my surprise, she got upset. Not the kind of upset where you jump up and start crying, but the kind where she lowered her head in disappointment. I saw in her eyes that she realized what she had done, how badly she had ruined her relationship with me and the children, not to mention her sister as well. She said she was so sorry for how she treated me and hoped we could work through it. I thought about it because I saw the girl I fell in love with again, the girl whose laugh brought me happiness, the girl who knew how to make me smile. But then I remembered what she put me and the children through. So I stood up and told her there was no way in hell she was getting another chance, and if she really wanted to see the children she could, but on their terms. I told her my lawyer would be in touch, and that I would be open to renting her a temporary room until the divorce was finalized. She said she would like that. I let her grab a few of her things and watched her to make sure she did not take anything of mine. I called her a ride through a rideshare service for wherever she wanted to go in the meantime. I also told her I would let her know where she would be staying. She left rather peacefully but kept her head down on the way to the car. My children came out and asked what happened. I told them their mother was not staying with us anymore, but if they wanted, she could come and visit them whenever they wanted to see her. I told them to go upstairs and unpack, which gave me time alone with their aunt. We sat down and talked about everything, what happened on the trip and what would happen now. We agreed to try and start dating, but only after my divorce is finalized, which is best for the children so things can cool down. They will see their aunt whenever they want, but she is not going to live with us. Also, She is not married. I would not be doing this with a married woman. So that leads me to now. We just finished a paternity test at the clinic. I am so nervous to find out the results. I will update when I get them. Thanks. Too long. Did not read. Summary. I finally filed for divorce from my soon-to-be ex-wife after I slept with her sister. Second update 2 days later. This was added as an edit because it was removed by moderators. Thank you to all the people giving me support, advice, and encouragement. For the people saying this is fake, sadly it is not, even though I wish it was. This is truly a terrible situation. I would appreciate it if you could all refrain from commenting that my situation is fake. For those saying I am wrong for cheating on my wife first and acting surprised when she cheated, that is not the case. If you really want to read the original story, it is on TikTok. Just search the title. Now on to the actual update. I got the paternity results back and both children are mine. I am over the moon that these children I love so much are 100% my blood. My children and I have all started counseling, with 2 sessions a week. Their first session was after school, and it already seems to be helping. Now on to the 2 topics I think everyone wants to know about, my ex-wife and my ex-sister-in-law. I will start with my ex. I got her a studio apartment last night. I do not know what she does during the day, but I do not care. We have only had a small conversation. I will post it if Reddit allows me to, since I am permitted to. The gist was about our children and the divorce. She has signed the papers my lawyer sent her. She told me she will fight me if she feels I am trying to keep her children away from her. She has been harassing me, my mother, my father, my siblings, and their children after I ended our conversation. I have proof, like some of you suggested. With how everything is going at the moment, it looks like I will be getting full custody of the children. To the person who messaged me about my ex maybe having a mental health issue, there is none that I am aware of, but she may need to get evaluated due to the way she has been acting. My children do not want to see her right now, and I do not blame them. I will try to get a protective order in place before the court date, which will be decided in the next few weeks. The actual date will most likely be in a few months. I have taken all the money out of our joint account, but have sent her some to live off and enough to hire a lawyer. Now on to my ex-sister-in-law. We have talked once, and that was before I wrote this. My children really want to see her, so we have planned a day for them to spend time with her on Friday after school. I have read all the comments about not getting into a relationship with her. I did say, I wanted time to see what I want to do. We did spend the night together, and I do not want her to feel used, so I told her my feelings. She was extremely supportive and understanding. She told me how she feels, and I am happy she does not feel used. We will not be spending time alone together, but I will see her when I pick up my children and she is there, which is fine. She is a great influence on them, and is helping them through their mothers and my divorce. Right now I am sitting outside on the deck. We ordered their favorite takeout, and I am watching them goof around. It is great to see them so happy. I do not know when my next update will be, but I will post one as soon as I can. Too long. Did not read. Summary. My now ex-wife has been harassing my family. I set boundaries with my ex-sister-in-law, and life is looking up for once. Reminder. Do not comment on the original posts or contact the original poster. I am not the original poster. This is a repost. My boyfriend called me hideous. In a TikTok he planned 7 weeks earlier. After 193,000 views, I dumped him, leaving him kneeling on my welcome mat crying. Mason and I have been together almost 4 years. Was 22 when we met. I thought he fixed the jammed garbage disposal. First green flag. The rest happened after we texted after exchanging Instagrams. The last 4 years were good. Yes, we had rhythm. Netflix documentaries on Thursdays, mom's dinner every third Sunday, summer camping with friends. He always remembered my birthday and heard my stories. Virtual unicorn behavior today. My previous boyfriend considered emotional labor childbirth, so I set low standards. My friend Chloe texts me Tuesday while I scroll on my phone during lunch. TikTok link with all caps, call me now. Not dramatic, Chloe. She texted a minor issue after her apartment flooded. Mason appears when I click the link. Monday dive bar throwbacks, is where his friends hang out. I saw the neon Budweiser sign behind him flickering every 8 seconds. We counted once while waiting for our order. 7 beers later, he's red-faced and hugging Logan. Rate your girlfriend bro, someone off camera says, changing his face. He smiled differently. His smirk was new to me, like he was about to reveal a secret joke. Harper is the ugliest girl I've met, perhaps a 5 on a good day. Savagery is shouted at the bar. Mason laughs and keeps going, but she makes great enchiladas and never complains when I go out with the boys, so I keep her. Low maintenance. Does he fear I'll watch the video? He replied, nah. She doesn't know TikTok and may upgrade soon. Too much baggage. I was making a clay mask at home, and texting him good night, when it was posted at 10:58 p.m., Monday. Video views, 193,000, 21,000. I viewed my phone in the break room. No crying or screaming. Just a strange cold feeling in my chest. After 4 years, this is his opinion of me. We cooked dinner the night before he arrived. We considered moving in when my lease ends in August. After he kissed me goodbye and said, "Love you, babe," I was the hideous girlfriend he planned to dump 14 hours later. Chloe, don't tell anyone I'm coming over after work. I made 3 more client appointments without crying after muting notifications and putting my phone in my bag. Autopilot is odd. Not home after work. Straight to Target, bought a cheap duffel bag, filled it with essentials, toothbrush, deodorant, phone charger, and 2 t-shirts, $52.84. Strangely, my wallet has the receipt. Drive 6:42 p.m. to Chloe's apartments. Reflecting on that video, I stared at nothing in the parking lot for 25 minutes. I keep thinking about Mason telling me I looked beautiful when I dressed up for his company Christmas party when I was sick with the flu last winter. And 5 weeks ago when we were at the beach and I was self-conscious about wearing a bikini. Everyone lies or says stuff with someone. On my arrival, Chloe pointed to her couch bed and 2 glasses of cheap college rosé and asked what was up. I skipped the breakup talk. He told his brothers without crying, pleading, or fighting. My disappearance. We made a list that night. Block Mason on phone, Instagram, Twitter. Change my passwords, he had most. Skip work this week. Inform only my mother of my location. By midnight, Mason texted 9 times. Common questions. Dinner and your arrival tonight. By morning, where are you and why aren't you answering? And he called 15 times by afternoon. TikTok absent. Nobody apologized. Nothing. Chloe hosted me Thursday and Friday. Total Love Island binge. Trash TV is surprisingly therapeutic when your life is falling apart. Cried in the shower to avoid Chloe. We overordered Uber Eats to avoid cooking. Friday morning, Chloe took more clothes from my apartment. Said Mason was there. Empty energy drink cans on the counter. Jacket over couch. His note on my door said to call me. No explanation for talking, like I don't know about the video. He lost TikTok Thursday night. Sadly, too late. It was screen recorded and shared with friends. I received. Are you okay texts from people I hadn't spoken to in months? Ignoring unknown calls ruled the weekend. Mason used his friends' phones and jumped at Chloe's doorbell after I blocked him. Natalie from my old community college group chat sent Mason's Instagram story screenshots. Classic damage control. Vague posts about missing someone and biggest mistake of my life with sad song lyrics. Sunday night. 29 missed calls. Monday morning. 36. I returned to work Monday. I entered to a hug from my boss. Apparently her FYP got the video. Permit me to take another day. No, I said. I needed Norm. Focus on something other than my relationship disaster. Mason arrived at the salon lunchtime. While my coworker said I wasn't there, I hid in the supply closet. I used to love his low door rumble. Sounds exhausted. By Tuesday morning, 9 days after seeing the video, 41 calls were missed. He texted please recently. Visit my apartment for mail. A package required signature. Around 9 a.m. Was safe since Mason leaves for work at 7:30. Was wrong. When I opened my door, he was on my welcome mat, which he gave me, and says home is where the Wi-Fi connects automatically. You know he heard my keys and looked up. The wreck wore the same Metallica shirt as his Instagram story from 2 days earlier, and had dark circles under his eyes. When he saw me, he kneeled. Cried. Repeating my name. I stood with keys, feeling nothing, everything, and nothing again. Sorry, Harper. Not sure why I said that. Was drunk. Pressured by men. Never meant it. Talk to me. Stop him. I saw your true opinion of me. Nothing to discuss. After getting my mail, I walked around him like furniture to my car. He followed me to the parking lot, crying and pleading. I drove back to Chloe's, and locked up. I crossed town after 6 more calls. That is today. After watching that video, I realized 10 days, 6 hours, and 11 minutes ago that the person I trusted most sees me as a placeholder until something better comes along. No idea what's next. Some stupid part of me misses him, the routine, and feeling loved. I repeat his video words. Hideous. Upgrade. Casual. Cruel. I deserve 4 years together. We'll update when more is known. For now, I'm living day to day. First update. You remember me, the girl whose 4-year-old boyfriend called her hideous on TikTok and pretended to be shocked when she disappeared. I'm still here. Unfortunately. Thank you for supporting my last post. Mason cried on my doorstep 11 days after I saw that video 21 days ago. Stranger things have happened. My car's timestamp showed I drove zombie-like from Mason's parking lot to Chloe's on Tuesday at 8:43 a.m. Calls lit up my phone the whole drive. Mason called me from his mother's phone, looking desperate. I saw Chloe's faded Live Laugh tequila magnet on her kitchen fridge when I returned. No more crying. My emotions seemed to have reached their monthly limit. Chloe got home from work around 3. Found me in my coat as usual. Sighing, she handed me a White Claw from the fridge, lime, the best flavor, and said something thought-provoking. Was I always aware of Mason's red flags but ignored them? My first reaction was defense. Mason and I clicked. He remembered my birthday. He watched The Bachelor with me despite disliking it. He never complained about my hair clogging the shower drain. He seemed to be clearing the hellish bar easily. Chloe asked specifics later. Is Mason ever critical of my appearance? He said my favorite jeans made me wide, but cute. Last summer. The salon made my highlights brassy. He asked if intentional. He always mentioned thin, makeup-free celebrities he liked, who looked nothing like me. Mason was my pal. He was proud of my promotion last year but advised me to decline due to stress. When I mentioned returning to school, he always mentioned cost. Was Mason fair to us? Considering no. After finishing our White Claw, my stomach sank. If I was 20 minutes late meeting him, I'd get a series of increasingly annoyed texts, but he could cancel plans to hang out with the boys at the last minute, and I was supposed to be. It was typical of TikTok. Before seeing what was there, I wanted to believe we were perfect. Mason advanced overnight. The doorbell rang at 8:46 p.m. for Chloe. Both of us froze like criminals. Mason has the saddest grocery store flowers through the peephole. Chloe went full mama bear. She entered to block the view and tell him I wasn't there. He begged her for 5 minutes to talk to me with a cracked voice. Reporting days without sleep, declared 7 BS lost. Wanted any solution. He left a handwritten letter under the door, which Chloe found. 10 pages, front, back. I read twice. It was many. Tears and paper. Promises to forever mend. He was drunk, his friends were peer pressuring him, and he had a bad day at work. Just one line struck me. I said those horrible things because I'm insecure and afraid you'll realize you're too good for me. For 25 minutes, I considered calling him. My brain was so messed up that I felt bad for him after he publicly humiliated me. Thankfully, Chloe's Wi-Fi crashed during the Thursday night Xfinity outage, so we couldn't stream. Instead, we looked through my phone's old photos, and I had my first epiphany. Every photo of Mason and me from the past year shows me smiling big and him looking at his phone, stupid, or off. Nobody shows him looking at me like I do. How did I miss it? Change came Friday morning. I heard from my brother Mateo that Mason arrived at his apartment at 6:45 a.m. I was asked where. Mateo, the overprotective brother, told Mason they'd talk differently if he came back. Quite dramatic, but I like it. The constant contact from Mason was suffocating me by then. It lacked romance. Quite uncomfortable. Did something I avoided. My writing was clear. I need space. Please stop contacting me, my friends, and my family. If ready, I'll call. Sending 11:05 a.m. After his response, I turned off my phone for 4 hours. I checked again, and found 5 paragraphs. The point was understood. He'd respect my boundaries. He'd wait, then send 3 more texts asking when forever would end and if we could meet for coffee next week. A disregard for limits. Calm weekend. Chloe's roommate Natalie was visiting her parents, so we had the place to ourselves. Ordering in, doing face masks, and watching all 3 Magic Mike movies for the plot kept me from checking my phone for 6 hours. Life felt like breathing after being underwater. Things changed again Sunday night. While browsing Instagram before bed, a bad habit, I saw it. Mason posted a video. My tagged, public apology video. 5 minutes and 12 seconds of him sitting in his car, looking directly at the camera with red-rimmed eyes, telling everyone who saw that horrible TikTok how sorry he was, how much he regrets hurting the most beautiful person inside and out he's ever known, and how he's learning to be better. Comments were messy applause for his accountability, barf. Others criticized him for repeating my humiliation. Stay strong, bro, said his friend Logan, like Mason was the victim. I couldn't sleep afterward. Consider how his apology was public and his supposed rock-bottom moment was carefully filmed, likely with multiple takes, and posted at optimal engagement hours, 9 p.m. on Sunday. My apartment was my Monday morning destination. I liked Chloe, but I couldn't stay at her house forever, and her hot water heater had been acting up all weekend, making February showers cold. Venmo alerted me while packing my duffel. Mason sent me $450, and a note for our unplanned anniversary dinner. Our 4-year anniversary was next week. I returned it immediately, and blocked him on Venmo too. My drive home felt like a failed job interview. Mason was absent from my apartment building, but I kept checking my rearview mirror at every red light, half expecting his car. Mrs. Whitaker, my hallway neighbor, nodded like I hadn't been gone 3 weeks. All my plants, including the unkillable snake plant, died. The air smelled like the Indian takeout I forgot in the fridge and was dull. It was strange and familiar, like old jeans. And I saw post-it notes everywhere. On my bathroom mirror, I miss your smile. Recall our first on my fridge. Netflix queue on my TV misses you. Sleeping without you on my bedside table is impossible. I stood there in shock, slowly realizing what happened. Mason kept my spare key from last year. He was in my apartment while I was away. Skin crawled fast. I searched closets, under the bed, and behind the shower curtain, half thinking he was hiding. Despite not being, his invasion of my space was creepy. I immediately called my landlord to explain. Changing my locks the next morning was his offer. I ripped every SLE post-it note in my apartment into tiny pieces. Petty? Maybe. Completely satisfying. My first night back in bed was strange. Mason's mattress weight was expected every morning. My brain wasn't processing our completion. Tuesday morning, someone knocked on my door while I made coffee. Before Mason's key broke, my heart stopped. It wasn't Mason, it was Logan. Mason called me ugly while Logan laughed at that TikTok video. Before Mason, Logan was my friend. Logan must be Mason's envoy. He shuffled uncomfortably in the hallway. Before proceeding, discussed whether seriously. Mason was upset, and wanted 5 minutes to explain. Logan was asked about that video's laughter. He looked modestly ashamed. He said he was drunk and following the guys, then hit me with this gem. Harper meant nothing. Guys talk like that. That kind of talk with friends is unacceptable, drunk or sober. Do not make me wonder what he says about me when I'm away. I don't like people who need a public meltdown and friendship intervention to value me. I thanked Logan for coming, wished Mason a quick recovery, and closed the door. Last night, I unfollowed Mason on all platforms on my phone. I removed our apartment photos. His Xbox controller and hoodie he always left at my house were packed. I put them in a closet box, not ready to return but not wanting to see them. I ordered dinner from that spicy place Mason always complained about but loved. I ate it while watching The Last of Us, which Mason didn't like for zombies. My mom gave me a fancy bath bomb for Christmas that I saved for special occasions. My phone lit up at midnight with a stranger's text. It's Mason. Avoid blocking this number. I only need one thing. Did you value those 4 years? They were mine. Long did I contemplate those words. 4 years. 4 years of inside jokes, holiday dinners, and lazy Sunday mornings. I spent 4 years building a life I thought we'd share forever. 4 years of mock criticisms, 4 years of moody caution. I shrank for 4 years to please him. I didn't reply. I blocked the number and turned off my phone. This morning I did something I hadn't done in 3.5 weeks. Instead of reacting to Mason or hiding, I planned a normal day. What I saw stopped me on my way to coffee. Mason updated his Instagram profile photo to a photo of us at his cousin's wedding last summer, my head on his shoulder, smiling. It shouldn't matter. This affected me despite not being expected. We'll update when more is known. I take it day by day, and remember my grandma's saying that trash sometimes removes itself. Okay, update 2. I wasn't going to update so soon, but last week was overwhelming. I saw that video 38 days ago. Some days are better than others rebuilding my life without my future partner after 1 month. The strangest Saturday was last. Since Mason always said gray sheets brought out the blue in his eyes, gag, I bought new sheets at Target, my emotional support store. As I debated sage green or terracotta, a woman at the end of the aisle watched. I'd thought I had something on my face or toilet paper on my shoe before, but she approached me, looking uncomfortable, and asked if I was Mason's TikTok girl. My stomach sat up immediately. Online shame is one. Being recognized by strangers at Target on a Saturday without makeup and yesterday's messy bun is different. Before I could respond, she awkwardly apologized, saying she'd said something mean on the original video but felt terrible after seeing Mason's public apology and realizing cyberbullying is wrong. While the stranger developed her character in the home goods section, I panicked and held my terracotta sheets. After she stopped talking, I said thanks, fine, good talk, and sped to checkout. Despite 62 degrees, I sat in my car for 25 minutes with the AC blasting. It hit me. Harper is no longer me. Some call me TikTok girl. Seeing that my humiliation defines me made me angry like never before. Not depressed and angry like weeks before. Energizing, pure, angry. A list was made in my notes app at 6:42 a.m. Sunday due to insomnia. I always wanted a LW, but Mason liked my long hair. Come to Chloe's kickboxing class. Apply for my delayed certificate program. Redesign my bedroom without masculine colors. Download a dating app. I completed Hasson by 11 a.m. Living dangerously, LOL. Cut 9 inches of hair at Supercuts without an appointment. The stylist kept asking if I was sure, needed time to think, or was persuaded. Tell her no, needed a change. She didn't need to know I mentally named each scissors cut after Mason's years of advice. You'd look better with defined eyebrows. No man wants a woman who eats more than him. You can laugh loudly. She turned me around to see the result, and I barely recognized myself. Neck, lightened, lighter head. My entire body felt lighter. I posted a selfie on Instagram with my new hair, kitchen window light, and new month, new me, after coming home. Logan, Mason, and 2 friends liked it, and 112 others did within an hour. Perhaps petty, but I like small wins. My second item arrived Monday. I went to Chloe's kickboxing studio at crazy hours, sure I'd fail. Chloe's roommate, Natalie, the instructor, kept us moving fast enough to not feel self-conscious. The end left me sweating and with spaghetti-like arms but strangely powerful. After class, I found Mason's new burner phone tactic, 3 missed calls from unknown numbers, and Logan's text request to talk. Too unprepared for that conversation, left him on red. On Tuesday, I applied for that digital marketing certificate I've been considering for ages. Mason always called it a waste of money since I work reliably. It took me 51 minutes to fill out the application, 28 to write the short personal statement, and 5 seconds to submit before I overthought it. Immediately had a mini panic attack, wondering if I was making a big mistake. My mom calmed me down with her usual mix of encouragement, and I don't understand why you're complicating your life, but I support you. On Wednesday, things heated up. I started getting Chloe texts at the grocery store. Call me now. Mason live streams on Instagram. He's discussing you. It's bad. I left my card in the cereal aisle, sorry underpaid grocery store workers, and ran to my car to watch the train wreck. Mason was drunk at 1:30 p.m. Red-faced and slurring. He told the camera about losing his love and not knowing how to move on Wednesday. The comments were coming fast, mostly telling him to get help or turn off the live, but he read some aloud and ignored others. Someone said something that froze my blood. Harper, I know she's watching. I'm coming tonight. We must discuss this. I'm done accepting no. I panicked and called Chloe. She offered to stay with me, but I called my brother Mateo. He's closer to my apartment and scarier if Mason showed up. Mateo came at 6:10 p.m. with girlfriend Sophia and week-long overnight gear. I was told not to argue. They stayed until he got the message, made himself at home on my couch, connected his Nintendo Switch to my TV, and pretended everything was normal. I almost believed Mason's threat was drunk talk by 8:45 p.m. About 9:30 p.m. I was relaxing. The doorbell rang at 10:12 p.m. Mateo replied as Sophia and I watched. Mason's slurred, emotional voice demanded to see me. Mateo replied calmly. The tone was clear, but the words were unclear. I heard my door close after 5 minutes. Mateo returned, irritated, but calm. Saying Mason left after Mateo convinced him it wasn't a good time was understatement of the year. Mason looked rough and smelled like he'd bathed in Jack Daniels. After jumping at every sound outside my window, I slept poorly. I kept thinking about how different things were 5 weeks ago when I still thought Mason was the one, and knew him. Thursday morning, a stranger texted me. Mason's mother. I'm worried about him, and unsure what to do. He won't eat, barely sleeps, and was fired yesterday for being drunk. Please call me. Even though you owe him nothing. Describe emotional manipulation. She always treated Mason like he couldn't handle consequences, swooping in to fix everything, one of many red flags I ignored. Mateo advised me to ignore the text, but it bothered me all day. I didn't feel guilty, but I felt like this situation was spiraling out of control. Texting her back at 3 p.m. Sorry, Mason is struggling, but I'm not responsible for his choices or healing. Encourage him to seek professional help. She replied instantly. Made a mistake. All deserve forgiveness. I didn't reply. Some mistakes forever alter your opinion of someone. That evening, something unexpected occurred. I was browsing TikTok, glutton for punishment, when I saw a video from a non-follower. The caption of a storytime TikTok stopped my heart. You call your toxic friend out after he humiliates his girlfriend on TikTok. Mason's longtime friend Carter was in the original video laughing along. Carter admitted in the video that he'd been complicit in Mason's toxic behavior with me and previous girlfriends for years. How Mason's friends encouraged his worst impulses. How the TikTok incident woke him up. Harper, I'm sorry, we failed you. Harper, I'm sorry, we failed you. Man, Mason, get help. It's not about getting her back. Being someone who would never hurt her is the goal. Watched 7 times. Tried it with Chloe, who said holy for 10 minutes. Carter DM'd me on Instagram. I hope that didn't hurt. I couldn't keep quiet. Response is optional. I contemplated that and appreciated that he didn't expect a response. Thanks for responding. Better late than never. A surprising honest conversation ensued. He told me Mason had been drinking daily, fighting, and alienating friends since I left. Said his friends were divided between enablers and helpers. Carter also confirmed my suspicions. Mason had called me that before, but this was the first recording. That hit different knowing it wasn't a drunken mistake but a pattern, a true reflection of how he saw me without me. Friday was my 1-month anniversary of leaving. My last task for Independence Day was downloading a dating app. In no way am I ready to date, but I wanted to remind myself that Mason isn't the only option and that there are other people who could appreciate me without secretly tearing me down. Designing my profile felt vulnerable. Choosing photos I liked and writing a bio that was authentically me, not tailored to one person. Like stretching forgotten muscles. Another unknown number called after I finished setting up my profile. I almost ignored it, thinking Mason had another burner phone, but something made me answer. It wasn't Mason. Logan was his pal. Logan's nervous, fast speech was odd. Said he needed to tell me something about the original TikTok that could change my perspective. I almost hung up. I nearly told him I was done with Mason, his friends, and their drama. Harper. Logan claimed the TikTok wasn't spontaneous. Mason planned it, and I have proof. Logan and I meet at 3 p.m., at Starbucks. Mateo insisted on joining me and sitting at a nearby table in case. I have no idea what Logan wants to say. After meeting Logan, I'll update. My stomach hurts, and I've changed outfits 4 times. Good luck, I suppose. About to leave for Starbucks. I appreciate the positive feedback. For the most common questions, I haven't unblocked Mason, and won't. I'll bring pepper spray, thanks for asking, lol. I don't want Mason back. I want to know what happened. Last update, folks. Because I still can't believe what happened, I've rewritten this post 4 times. First, thanks for your kind messages after my cliffhanger update. I apologize for leaving you hanging, but I needed time to process Logan's presentation. Returned to Saturday, at 2:18 p.m. My stomach was knotted when I entered Starbucks. Saw Logan, nervously shredding a napkin in the corner booth. Mateo sat at a table near the door, looking obvious despite his indoor sunglasses. Logan looked bad. Stressed but not Mason-level bad. I'd seen him in the same shirt 3 times on Instagram, dark circles under his eyes, unwashed hair. Initial 5 minutes were painfully awkward. For the TikTok incident, he apologized 22 times. I just sipped my LTE, and waited for him to get to the point. He finally took out his phone. Before I show you this, you need to know I didn't find it until yesterday. I was going through some old group chats trying to find a pizza place we ordered from once, and I saw this thread that Mason started about a month before, you know. He slid his phone across the table. It was open to a WhatsApp group chat titled Weekend Warriors. I roll with Mason, Logan, Carter, and 2 other guys. The messages were from 7 weeks before the TikTok incident. Mason, need your help with something, boys. Carter, what's up? Mason, trying to figure out how to break up with H. Logan, whoa, for real. Thought you guys were looking at places together. Mason, yeah, that's the problem. She's getting too serious. Plus, I met someone at the gym. I felt my face getting hot as I scrolled. Mason went on to explain that he'd been talking to, his words, a girl named Madison for almost 4 months, but he was worried about how I'd react to a breakup since we shared so many friends and she can get emotional, excuse me. As I kept reading, it got worse. Mason was literally asking his friends for advice on how to make me break up with him so he could look like the good guy. Their suggestions ranged from gradually becoming more distant to picking fights over nothing too, and this is what made me nearly drop the phone. Just be on social media so she sees it and dumps you. The last message in the thread was from Mason. TikTok might be the move. She never checks it anyway. I looked up at Logan, who couldn't meet my eyes. Why show me this now? I asked. He explained that after our last conversation, he'd been feeling increasingly guilty about his part in everything. Said he'd assumed the TikTok was just drunk stupidity, not a calculated move. Didn't know about Madison until he found these messages. Mason's been lying to everyone, Logan said. Telling us how heartbroken he is, how he made the biggest mistake of his life. Meanwhile, he's still texting Madison. I saw them together at Chipotle, yesterday. It was like the final puzzle piece clicking into place. The TikTok wasn't a drunken mistake, it was deliberate. Just a plan that backfired when I disappeared, instead of confronting him. I sat there for a moment, trying to process the fact that not only had Mason intentionally humiliated me online, but he'd done it to escape our relationship and be with someone else, and now he was playing the devastated boyfriend role to save face with everyone. I thanked Logan for showing me the truth, then walked out of Starbucks with Mateo trailing behind, asking 70 questions I wasn't ready to answer. That night I made a decision. After 45 days of silence, I was going to talk to Mason on my terms. Not to get back together, that ship had sailed, hit an iceberg, and sunk to the bottom of the O. But to let him know that I knew everything. Sunday morning at exactly 11 a.m., I texted Mason from my real number. We need to talk today. 3 p.m., Java Hut on Main. Don't be late. He responded within 18 seconds. I'll be there. Thank you, Harper. I love you. Spoiler alert, He does not in fact love me. I spent the next 4 hours oscillating between absolute certainty and complete panic. Changed my outfit 4 times. Practiced what I wanted to say in the mirror like I was preparing for a job interview. Called Chloe twice to talk me off the ledge. Arrived at Java Hut 25 minutes early to secure the corner table with my back to the wall, tactical positioning. Ordered a chai latte I had zero intention of actually drinking. Mason walked in at 2 p.m., scanning the cafe until he spotted me. He looked better than I expected, showered, shaved, wearing the blue button-down I'd given him. For a split second, my heart did that familiar flip it always did, when I saw him. Then I remembered the WhatsApp messages. He reached for a hug, which I avoided by gesturing to the chair across from me. His face fell, but he sat down. Launched immediately into what sounded like a rehearsed speech about how sorry he was, how much he missed me, how the past month had been the worst of his life. I let him talk for exactly 3 minutes. Then I placed my phone screen up between us, open to the screenshots Logan had sent me of the group chat. "So who's Madison?" I asked. The look on his face, y'all, it was like watching someone get hit with a taser. His mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Those are, Logan shouldn't have, just tell me the truth, Mason, for once. The next 25 minutes were illuminating. Once he realized he was caught, the apologies stopped and the excuses started. Madison was just a friend at first, sure Yan. He'd been confused about our relationship for months. He thought 4 years was too long to be with one person in your 20s. The TikTok was stupid, but he never thought I'd see it. "I panicked when you disappeared," he admitted. "I realized I'd made a huge mistake. Madison wasn't worth losing you over." That's when it clicked. He wasn't devastated about hurting me. He was devastated about looking like the bad guy, about losing control of the narrative, about everyone knowing what he'd done. I took a sip of my cold chai, and said the words I'd been practicing all morning. "I'm not here to get back together, Mason. I'm here to tell you that I know everything. And I'm done. Don't contact me, my friends, or my family again. We're over." His eyes welled up with tears that I'm now 99% sure were performative. "But I love you," he said. "We can fix this. I'll do anything. If you loved me, you wouldn't have spent 4 months planning how to humiliate me so you could be with someone else." I stood up, gathering my purse and jacket. That's when he played his final card, one I wasn't expecting. "I broke the lease on my apartment," he blurted out. "I've been staying with my mom. I thought we'd be moving in together next month like we planned." For a brief insane moment, I felt guilty, like I was the one ruining his life. Then I remembered the cold calculation of those messages, planning exactly how to break my heart in the most public way possible. "You should call Madison," I said. "I'm sure she has room at her place." And then I walked out. No dramatic exit, no scene, just done. He texted 22 times in the next 2 hours, switching from apologetic to angry to desperate and back again. I didn't reply to any of them, just took screenshots and sent them to Chloe with the caption, "The audacity continues." Around noon, my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. My first thought was, here we go again, but it wasn't Mason. It was Madison. "Hi Harper, you don't know me, but I think we need to talk. Mason's been telling me one story and apparently telling you another." We met for coffee that afternoon. I've consumed enough caffeine this week to power a small city. Turns out Madison had no idea Mason had a girlfriend until 2 weeks ago when she saw his public apology TikTok. He told her he was single, had been for months, and was dealing with a crazy ex who couldn't let go. Sound familiar? The craziest part, she's actually nice. We ended up talking for 3 hours, comparing notes on Mason's lies. She showed me texts where he was telling her he loved her the same day he was leaving sobbing voicemails on my phone. By the end of our conversation, we were following each other on Instagram and had made tentative plans to check out a new wine bar that's opening next month. Trust issues solidarity, I guess. That night, I finally did something I'd been putting off. I unblocked Mason on Instagram, just temporarily, and went to his profile. His story from 4 hours earlier was a black screen with the song Glimpse of Us playing, Joe's sad boy anthem, so on brand, and the text, "Sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone." His profile picture was still us from last summer. His most recent post, a throwback photo of us from our second anniversary with the caption, "I'd give anything to go back." Meanwhile, Madison had sent me screenshots of him texting her that same day, asking if she wanted to hang out later. I've never felt more certain of a decision in my life. Yesterday marked exactly 45 days since I discovered the TikTok. 7 weeks of pain, anger, confusion, and finally, clarity. I officially blocked Mason on every platform, changed my number this morning, told my landlord under no circumstances should he ever be allowed into the building, and then I did something just for me. Remember that digital marketing certificate I applied for? I got accepted yesterday. Classes start next month. Paid the deposit with money I'd been saving for the apartment Mason and I were supposed to share. Last night, Chloe, Mateo, and a few other friends came over for an impromptu goodbye Mason party. We ordered pizza, drank cheap wine, and took turns reading the increasingly desperate texts he sent over the past weeks. Toxic, I know, but also weirdly cathartic. At one point, Mateo asked if I was sad about wasting 4 years with Mason, and the thing is, I'm not. Those years weren't a waste. They were a lesson about red flags I'll never ignore again, about my own resilience, about the kind of relationship I actually deserve. This morning I woke up to a notification that Mason had tagged me in a new Instagram post. My finger hovered over the view button for about 4 seconds before I realized I don't care what it says. His words have no power over me anymore. Instead, I deleted the notification, made my coffee, and sat on my balcony watching the sunrise. So I guess this is officially the end of this saga, y'all. Edit. People are asking if I'm worried Mason will see this post. Honestly, part of me hopes he does. Let him read how thoroughly he failed at controlling this narrative. Let him see that his hideous ex is thriving without him. And to any other girls out there dealing with your own deeks, you deserve better, and better exists. Trust me. My sister swore in court to steal my house, while my parents called me incompetent until my lawyer revealed 14 properties worth $24.07 and shut them up. Your little real estate game ends today. As my brother-in-law, Brandon Hayes, walked by me in the courthouse aisle, his breath was hot against my ear and smelled like coffee and too much confidence. My sister Lauren Hayes, who was behind him, smirked like she had already won and adjusted her expensive designer blazer, which cost more than I used to make as a janitor in a month. My parents were 3 seats back in the gallery, and they nodded in approval. It appeared like they were watching justice being done instead of seeing their own son been robbed in a planned way. At 10:12 a.m., the bailiff called the court to order. Judge Eleanor Whitaker sat down at the bench. She had gray hair pushed back in the same tight bun that she always wore in newspaper photos of her. She also had reading spectacles on her nose. 29 years on the bench, where he was notorious for not putting up with foolishness. First was Brandon's lawyer. Victor Langford is a partner with Donnelly and Hughes. Suit that. Costs a lot. Their website says they have a total of 68 years of expertise in the business. The type of lawyer you call when you want to hurt someone. He was holding up a contract that I had never seen before. Langford added, "Your Honor," in a smooth, trained voice, "Ethan Caldwell has shown extreme emotional instability and poor judgment for years. However, we think this document was signed during a rare moment of clarity." The defendant clearly said, "This vacation home is for the whole family to enjoy," and signed the property transfer willingly. I sat perfectly still in my chair, digging my nails into my palms hard enough to leave marks. Langford went on to say, "Recently, Mr. Caldwell has entered another unstable phase. He is now trying to break this valid promise in order to selfishly keep a valuable asset worth about $1.3 million. The plaintiffs, his own sister and brother-in-law, are just asking the court to uphold an agreement he made on his own." Lauren spoke something to Brandon in a low voice. Both of them smiled. That smile was the same one I had seen 1,000 times as a child. The smile that told me I was going to lose something. My dad leaned forward in his chair with his arms folded over his chest. He told me 9 years ago that real estate was a waste of time for someone like you. "Ethan, you don't know how to run a business or do math. Just get a steady job with benefits, and stop making this family look bad with your dumb ideas." Now they were trying to take everything I'd built regardless. Judge Whitaker looked over the contract very carefully, her eyes sweeping across the pages with the focused look of someone who had seen every trick in the book. The court reporter's machine made a scraping sound that broke the silence. A person in the gallery coughed. She slowly lifted her head and looked me in the eye. "Mr. Caldwell," she whispered, her voice calm but keen like a knife. "This address, 912 Lakeshore Drive, is one of the 14 properties you own right now, according to the contract. Is that right?" The air was gone from the room. Everyone looked at me. Someone hit pause on Brandon's smirk, and it stayed there. Lauren's hand halted in the middle of going to her mouth. My parents stopped agreeing. I said, "That's right, Your Honor," and I kept my voice steady. 14 properties. Judge Whitaker mixed up the papers in front of her. "I'd really like to see the paperwork for the rest of your holdings as well, for context." The confidence left Brandon's side of the courtroom like water from a cracked glass. My lawyer got up. Michael Harrington, 55, is a solo practitioner who has been practicing real estate law for 31 years. Not flashy or expensive looking, simply good at what it does. He opened his briefcase and took out a huge stack of papers. "Your Honor, in order to give you the full picture of this case, I'd like to go over my client's entire asset portfolio and explain how he came to own each property." Judge Whitaker nodded. "Please go ahead." Michael started to read slowly and carefully, with each word hitting like a hammer. The first property was a 520 square foot studio apartment in Old Town that cost $58,000. Mr. Caldwell saved up the $11,600 down payment by working 2 jobs, as a night janitor at Riverside Medical Center and as a weekend waiter at Chapier Restaurant. My father's face went white. When I proudly showed him the closing documents, he said the apartment was a dump not worth the soil it sat on. Michael went on to say, the second property was bought 16 months later, in November 2015. It was a commercial building at 1382 Commerce Street, and it cost $235,000. The down payment came from the rental income from the first property and Mr. Caldwell's savings from his job. Lauren gripped Brandon's arm so tightly that I could see her knuckles turn white from across the aisle. The third property was bought in June 2016. It was a duplex, at 104 Maple Avenue. As Michael read each address, each purchase price, and each detail about how I'd saved money by making down payments and fixing up homes myself, I could see my family's faces alter. First there was confusion, then astonishment, and then something that looked like dread. My mother put her hand over her mouth as Michael got to the 7th property, a 6-unit apartment complex that had almost put me out of business during the restoration, but now brought in $112,000 a year in rent. The 8th piece of property. The 9th thing. The 10th thing. There were whispers in the gallery. A reporter in the back row started writing quickly in her notepad. And the 12th property, Michael said, his voice dropping a little for emphasis, located at 1625 Riverside Avenue, commonly known as the Phoenix Lofts. The courtroom went utterly silent. Everyone in the city heard about Phoenix Lofts, the amazing rehabilitation project. The building that turned a crime-ridden eyesore into a cultural monument with restaurants, boutique shops, and 74 premium apartments. 5 months ago, Architecture Digest wrote about the building. Brandon had bragged about having reservations at Lumiere, the French restaurant on the top floor, barely 2 weeks ago during my parents' anniversary dinner. Lauren went to the artisan store on the ground floor that sold handmade jewelry and $200 candles. They had been spending money in my building and talking about how easy it was for them to get into my property. I saw the understanding hit them like a freight train. Judge Whitaker leaned in. I see. The Phoenix Lofts. That's a pretty big piece of land. She looked at Victor Langford. Counselor, just a moment ago you said that Mr. Caldwell doesn't have good judgment and spends money in a reckless and emotionally driven way. However, this documentation shows that he owns and successfully runs one of the city's most famous redevelopment projects, as well as at least 11 other properties that make money. How do you explain this very serious difference in your claims? Langford stuttered, really stammered. Your Honor, I the plaintiffs didn't know the whole story. His sister and parents are the plaintiffs, Judge Whitaker said. They say they know a lot about his mental state, but they didn't know anything about how well he was doing in business. Under the table, Brandon took Lauren's hand. Her chest was clearly rising and falling as she breathed quickly. Michael wasn't finished. Your Honor, there's one more piece of property I'd like to show you, the 14th and most recent acquisition. He pulled out the last file with the same care as a magician showing off his best trick. The building at 880 Grand Avenue, officially known as the Grand Majestic Theater, is a city historical landmark. Someone in the audience gasped. The theater, the lovely old movie palace that everyone loved. 7 years ago, an unknown donor spared it from being torn down. The mayor lauded the restoration in her State of the City speech. That was Mr. Caldwell paid for the whole restoration himself, Michael said, his voice echoing in the quiet courtroom. The project cost $3.4 million and took 21 months to finish. The City Historical Preservation Society gave him an official commendation, and the mayor's office gave him a certificate of merit for historic conservation. He used the certificate in a gold frame as proof. I had it in my workplace, had never let my relatives see it. I never brought it up because why would I? They had made it apparent years ago that nothing I did was important to them. Judge Whitaker looked at the fake contract again, and her face got harder. She told Langford, we hired Deborah Sinclair, a certified forensic document examiner with 26 years of experience, to do a forensic analysis of this document your clients gave us. Her report says that the signature doesn't match Mr. Caldwell's verified handwriting samples with 99.2% certainty. Lauren let out a choking cry. Brandon's head fell forward. Michael went on to say, more importantly, the ink used in this document is a polymer-based blend from Microte Industries. That formula came out 4 months ago, but this contract is dated 17 months ago. He looked right at Brandon and Lauren. Do the plaintiffs have a time machine, Your Honor? Because that's the only way they could have used ink that didn't exist when this document was supposed to have been signed. People in the courtroom tried to hold back their laughing. Someone in the back really did snort. The sound of Judge Whitaker's gavel was like thunder. This petition is dismissed with prejudice. The court finds the evidence of fraud and perjury compelling enough to refer this matter to the district attorney's office immediately for criminal investigation. She looked at Lauren and Brandon with the kind of contempt usually reserved for people who hurt children or puppies. You tried to steal a large amount of money from a family member by using fake documents and false claims about his mental capacity. This court takes these kinds of things very seriously. Brandon's head smacked the table. Hit it, in fact. Forehead on wood. Lauren was crying now, and her mascara was pouring down her face. My parents were transfixed in their seats, and their faces looked like old newspapers. But while they were busy ignoring me, making fun of my silly plans, and telling me I'd never amount to anything, I had developed something real. I rose up, fixed my jacket from Men's Warehouse, not custom made like Brandon's, and proceeded to the door. I didn't need to prove anything to anyone anymore. The sound of my footfall echoed on the marble floor. When I walked by their table, I leaned down so that only they could hear. I murmured, "The game is over. I won." 9 years ago, I was 26 years old, living in my parents' basement, working 2 minimum wage jobs, and hearing them tell me I was squandering my life. Real estate. When I told my dad I wanted to buy a house, he scoffed. "Ethan, you can barely keep track of your money. Do you really think you can handle a rental property? Be realistic. Get a job at the post office. They have good benefits." Lauren, my sister, had been worse. She was 3 years younger, and had just graduated from college with a degree in marketing. She was already engaged to Brandon, who worked in finance at his father's investment firm. Some people are meant to be successful, she had stated during Thanksgiving dinner, and Brandon had agreed. And some people are just meant to work for successful people. That's just how the world works, Ethan. You shouldn't feel bad about it. She said it in a nice way, as if she were trying to help me accept my flaws. After that, I stopped going to family dinners. Instead, I worked 75 hours a week, doing night shifts at the hospital, sweeping floors and cleaning rooms, and weekend shifts at the restaurant, where I carried plates and smiled at clients who looked through me like I was furniture. In 16 months, I had saved $11,600. I didn't need any of the money for food or gas, and I had paid $58,000 for that studio apartment in Old Town. It was a total mess. Needed everything. There were new floors, new fixtures, paint, and working appliances. I had done most of the work myself, viewing YouTube videos at 2 a.m. to learn how to put up tile, patch drywall, and change electrical outlets. My dad had driven by once as I was lugging wood up the stairs. He had whispered through the window of his car, "You're going to lose everything. That neighborhood will never get better. You're wasting your money." He drove off before I could say anything. I rented it out for $1,150 a month. 8 months later, I had to pay $470 a month for my mortgage. Oh, $680 a month, in pure profit. It wasn't much, but it was proof. 18 months later, property 2 came. The apartment needed less maintenance than the business building. The previous owner had let it go to waste for years, but it was in a wonderful location, downtown near the new transit hub they were creating. To save enough for the down payment, I had to get a second job working nighttime inventory at a warehouse. Around that time, Lauren sent me a message on Facebook. I still had it. "Hey, I heard you bought another investment property. Haha. Mom says, you're going to go broke. Maybe you should stop pretending to be a real estate mogul and get a real job. I'm just saying this because I care about you." After that, I blocked her. 3 properties, 4 properties. Property number 5. There was a danger with each one. It was a risk to do each one. Each one made me strive more, give up more, and learn faster. The 7th property, a 6-unit apartment complex, almost killed me. The inspection didn't find any severe problems with the foundation. I didn't have the $61,000 to pay for the repairs. I'd used up all of my credit cards, taken out a loan on my other properties, and spent 8 months thinking I had finally proven my family right. But I fixed it up, rented out all 6 units, got a cheaper interest rate on the mortgage, and made it my most profitable property. I never told anyone how close I came to losing everything. I had 11 properties by the 6th year. My portfolio was worth $4.6 million. I was making $245,000 a year from renting. My family thought I was still cleaning up. I would let them believe that. Drove my vintage Honda Civic to Christmas. Wore garments that weren't very good. Never said anything when they talked about my dead-end jobs, because I had learned something crucial. If you just stay quiet and listen, people will tell you who they are. Property 12 altered everything. The Phoenix Lofts had been a structure that was going to be torn down. Brick walls that are falling apart, damaged windows, and drug sellers on the corners. The city intended to tear it down. I got it at auction for $620,000. People thought I was crazy. It took 3 years and $4.9 million to fix up the building. I worked with 2 other investors, hired architects and contractors, and worked with the City Planning Commission and the Historical Society. The mayor cut the ribbon herself when it opened. Architecture Digest said it was a great example of adaptive reuse and development that focuses on the community. My family didn't know since I bought it through an LLC, my name wasn't on the news releases, and I wanted to start building something meaningful without them telling me I couldn't. The Grand Majestic Theater was a part of me. When I was 8 years old, my grandma took me there. On weekends, we watched classic movies. While Mom ate popcorn and told me tales of watching those movies as a child, we watched Casablanca, Singing in the Rain, and The Wizard of Oz. She left me $75,000 when she died. My parents told me to put it in an index fund in a smart way. Instead, I bought the theater while it was for sale, empty, falling apart, and set to be torn down to make room for a parking structure. They used the $75,000 as seed money and got the remainder from historic preservation grants, individual investors who believed in the concept, and a loan from a community development bank. The restoration took 22 months, and every detail was true to the time period. The original marquee was reconstructed, the seats were reupholstered, and the projection booth now has both current digital and restored 35mm capabilities. We exhibited old movies on weekends, had film festivals, and became a place for the community to meet. Next to a picture of my grandma, the certificate of merit from the mayor's office hung in my home office. I had never told my family about any of it until Lauren's lawsuit made it all public. 4 months had passed since the case began. I had gone to the theater. My phone rang when we were showing a Hitchcock movie. Number not known. A woman's voice, professional and cold, said, "Ethan Caldwell. Hi, this is Allison Pierce from Donnelly and Hughes. I'm calling to let you know that you're being served with legal papers about property at 912 Lakeshore Drive. A process server will be at your house tomorrow at 8:55 a.m. I'm all. What kind of papers? What kind of property? Lauren Hayes, your sister, and her husband, Brandon Hayes, have filed a petition to enforce a property transfer agreement. I suggest you get a lawyer. Goodbye." She hung up before I could say anything. The house at 912 Lakeshore Drive was my lake house. I acquired it for $1.25 million 2 years ago. It was lovely. There are 4 bedrooms, a private dock, and 2 acres of wooded grounds. I had never made a pledge to anyone. The process server arrived just on time at 8:55 a.m. A woman in her 50s is holding a clipboard and a manila envelope. "Ethan Caldwell, that's me. You've been served." Inside the mail came a complaint and a document I'd never seen before. A property transfer agreement that I purportedly signed, committing to give the lake house to Lauren and Brandon to use as a family holiday home. The signature looked a lot like mine, so someone who didn't know better would have thought it was mine. But I had never signed anything, or promised them a vacation house. I hadn't even informed them I owned a house by the lake. That afternoon I called Michael Harrington. We met at his modest office above a Thai restaurant in the city. There were files piled high on every surface and coffee stains on his desk, but when he looked at the paperwork, his eyes were sharp. He had remarked, "This is a forgery," within 5 minutes. A good one, but still a forgery. The pressure points are wrong, and the letter formation is a little off. This was either traced or made with software. Can you prove it? I know someone who can. Deborah Sinclair, the best forensic document examiner in the state, will charge $3,200 for a full analysis. Do it. Michael had flipped through the complaint and stated, "There's more. They're saying you're mentally unstable and that you've been acting strangely and making bad financial decisions for years. Your parents have statements that back this up." My parents had signed sworn statements indicating I was emotionally disturbed, my own mom and dad. Michael said, "They're trying to find a pattern, make you look incompetent, then say that this transfer of property happened during a moment of clarity before you became unstable again. This is a common strategy in cases like this." Cases like what? Family members trying to steal things from relatives they think can't protect themselves. I sat in that office, which smelled like pad thai and old coffee, and looked at my parents' signatures. I felt something cold settle into my chest. I had asked, "What do we do next?" Michael had a smile on his face. Not a smile that says I'm friendly, but a shark's smile. "We keep track of everything. Every property you own, every good business decision you've made, every credential, every commendation, and every piece of evidence that shows you're not just good, you're great. Then we go into that courtroom and destroy their whole case." I've never told them about most of my properties. That's even better. The revelation will be more dramatic. Lauren and Brandon's lawyer made discovery requests, asked for bank statements, and tried to depose me about my mental health history over the course of 4 months. Michael had put up a wall between them, only giving them what the law demanded, and making them work for every piece of information. In the meantime, Deborah Sinclair had finished her study. The signature was fake. It was made with software that can copy handwriting. The ink was erroneous since it was too new for the date it was intended to be. The paper looked like it had been artificially aged. There was no doubt about it, it was fraud. But Lauren and Brandon were getting braver. I began telling my extended family that I was sick and needed care, and that they were trying to protect family assets from my bad decisions. My aunt contacted me and seemed really worried. "Ethan, Lauren says you've been making bad money choices, and that you're in over your head with debt. Is that true? Because if you need help." "I'm okay, Aunt Margaret. She said you bought a rundown building in the city and it's making you go broke." The Phoenix Lofts. She was talking about the Phoenix Lofts, which had gone up in value by $5.6 million since I bought it. "Thanks for your concern, but I'm doing fine, better than fine." "If you say so, but Lauren looks really worried. She's your sister. She loves you." After that, I hung up and blocked half of my extended family's numbers, which is what Lauren did. She poisoned the wells, made herself the hero, and me the bad guy. She has done that our whole lives. The fight in the courts marked the end of 4 months of legal battles. 4 months of them not giving me enough credit one last time. And I would allow them. Make sure they feel good about going into that courtroom. Let them believe they had already won. The higher they soared, the harder they would fall. After Judge Whitaker's decision, I left the courthouse and walked out into the bright afternoon sun. Michael met me on the steps, with his broken briefcase. He added, "The DA's office will be in touch. Fraud, perjury, and attempted theft charges. Your sister and brother-in-law could face serious consequences." "Okay. Your parents could also be charged. They signed those affidavits." I pondered about that, about my dad saying I wasn't good at anything. My mom agreed that I should just acquire a steady job and quit trying to get more. I told them to let the DA decide. Michael nodded. "You did a good job in there, for what it's worth. Most people would have bragged. You stayed quiet and let the evidence speak." My grandma used to say that the best way to get back at someone is to do well. She was correct. Smart woman. She was the only one who had faith in me. I turned around and stared at the courthouse. I could see Lauren and Brandon fighting with their lawyer through the glass doors. My folks were standing nearby, looking confused. "They wanted one vacation home?" I remarked softly. "I've been protecting an empire worth 14 times that. Built from nothing while they called me worthless. They'll realize that now. Too late." I went to my car. I had bought a Tesla Model S the year before, which they didn't know about, and went to the movie. The midday show was ready to commence. One of my grandmother's favorite movies was Rear Window. I sat in the back seat in the dark, and watched Jimmy Stewart look through binoculars at his neighbors. Saw him put together the truth that no one else could perceive. At times, I felt like I was observing my family from afar, seeing who they truly were while they put on a show for each other. The difference was that I had made something real while they were performing, and now everyone could see it. 3 weeks later, the DA's office filed charges. "Lauren, you are charged with 3 counts of fraud, 2 charges of lying under oath, and 1 count of trying to steal by lying. Brandon is charged with 3 charges of fraud, 2 counts of lying under oath, and 1 count of conspiracy. My parents each got 2 charges of perjury for the phony affidavits." Local news reported on the arraignment. Siblings fight in court over fake property papers. Lauren's mugshot was shown on the news that night. She seemed smaller, like she had lost something. 7 months later, the trial was due to begin. Their lawyer tried to work out a plea deal. "They chose this path," Michael stated. "They chose to paint you as incompetent, steal from you, and humiliate you in court," he said. "They will have to deal with the consequences." The DA concurred. No deals, full prosecution. At the same time, the tale got about. Reporters called the Phoenix Lofts management business to ask about the unknown owner who saved the building. The local arts journal wrote on the Grand Majestic Theater. Anonymous donor disclosed, a local real estate developer's passion project. Both pieces mentioned my name. In less than a week, 3 different developers called me to ask if I wanted to work on projects with them. 2 banks gave me credit lines. A business school requested me to talk to their class on entrepreneurship. I said yes to the speaking invitation, stood in front of 82 pupils, and gave them the truth. My family told me I had no talent, no business sense, and that I should stop embarrassing them with my stupid plans. I could have believed them, and accepted their story about who I was and what I deserved. The room fell quiet. Instead, I worked 3 jobs, saved every penny, bought a studio apartment that everyone said was a bad investment, and built something real, 1 property at a time, 1 risk at a time. While they laughed, I learned. While they dismissed me, I grew. While they told me I couldn't, I did. And a girl in the front row raised her hand. "How did you handle the doubt, the worry that they might be right?" I used their doubt as fuel. Whenever my father said I would fail, I worked harder. Whenever my sister said I would never amount to anything, I bought another property. I turned their expectations into a challenge. I was determined to win. Do you wish you had told them sooner, so they could see you were right? No. Building in silence taught me something important: you don't need their approval or validation, you just need to do the work. A young woman, maybe 22, came up to me after the speech. Her eyes were bright with determination. She said, "My parents think I'm wasting my time starting a business. They want me to go to medical school and become a doctor like my dad, but I don't want to." "What do you want?" "I want to make something that matters, something that belongs to me." I took out a card for my business. "Call my office. I put money into good ideas. Let's talk about yours." She left with tears in her eyes. I could be what my grandmother was to me for her. The one person who had faith. The trial went on for 8 days. Every day, I sat in the gallery and watched Lauren and Brandon squirm while being cross-examined. Deborah Sinclair testified about the forged signature and showed the jury side-by-side comparisons of my real signature and the fake one. Talked about the ink analysis, the paper aging, and the digital artifacts that showed the forgery. Detective Ryan Mitchell, who had been on the job for 21 years, explained how they had tracked the software purchase back to Brandon's credit card. Mitchell said, "The defendant bought Signature Forge Pro software 4 months before the alleged contract was signed. Our digital forensics team found several practice copies of Mr. Caldwell's signature on his laptop." Lauren's lawyer tried to say that Brandon was only copying his brother-in-law's signature for a good reason. The prosecutor asked, "What real reasons?" No answer. My parents didn't speak in court. Their lawyer told them to take the fifth, but their affidavits were used as evidence, and their signatures were shown on the overhead screen. The prosecutor said to me on the stand, "Your parents swore under penalty of perjury that you were mentally unstable. What did that do to you?" I was disappointed, but not shocked. They had been telling me I wasn't good enough my whole life. This was the first time they put it in writing. The prosecution stopped on the 7th day. The defense did not call any witnesses. What could they say? There was a lot of proof. It took 2 hours and 10 minutes to make the closing arguments. The jury took 2 hours and 10 minutes to make their decision. Both Lauren and Brandon are guilty on all counts. The next day, my parents made a deal. They would testify against Lauren and Brandon in exchange for probation and community service. They sold their daughter to save themselves. 4 weeks later, the sentence was given. Lauren was sentenced to 22 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and $75,000 in restitution. Brandon will spend 30 months in prison, 3 years on probation, and pay back $75,000. They were taken out in handcuffs. Lauren was in tears. Brandon looked straight ahead with a blank face. I didn't feel anything. There was no satisfaction or anger, just a quiet sense of closure. A reporter came up to me outside the courthouse and asked, "Mr. Caldwell, do you have anything to say to your sister?" I thought about all the years I had been ignored, made fun of, and not taken seriously. All I want is for her to think about the choices that brought her here. Do you forgive her? Forgiveness is for people who admit they did something wrong. She has never done that, and probably never will. What's next for you? I have a theater to run, properties to take care of, and a business to grow. They tried to steal from me, but my life goes on. I left the cameras, the questions, and the whole show behind and went back to my life, the one I made and the one they tried to take. 8 months later, I was on the balcony of the Phoenix Lofts, looking out at the city. The restaurant below was full. The store was doing well. There was a waiting list for all 74 apartments. The phone rang. I asked, "How is retirement, Michael Harrington?" He had stopped working last month. "It's boring. I miss the drama in the courtroom, but not the 3 a.m. calls from clients who were scared." "Okay, that's fair. I called because I heard something interesting. Your sister's lawyer is going to court to appeal." "Why?" "Bad help from her lawyer. She's saying that Victor Langford messed up her case." "Will it work?" "No. The proof was too strong, but she's trying. Still acting like a victim. Some people just don't get it." After we hung up, I stayed on the balcony and watched the sun set over the city I had taken over, one piece of property at a time. My family wanted to take what I had built and claim it as their own. They wanted to steal my success. But they had one last time misjudged me. They thought I was still the same kid living in their basement, the same janitor they could fire, and the same failure they had always told me I was. I was the one who had turned their doubt into fuel, their teasing into motivation, and their limits into a challenge I had already won. I owned 14 homes that were worth $24.7 million. I had 79 people working for me in my different businesses. I had saved a historic theater and changed the look of a neighborhood. They said I was worthless, but I had built an empire from nothing. And if they tried to take it, I'd let the truth kill them. Not violence, not revenge, just proof, just facts, just the undeniable proof of who I was and who they said I was. My grandma would have been proud. I took out my phone and read the last text message Lauren sent me before the trial. She sent it from a temporary number that I later had to block. We'll make sure you lose everything. You're nothing without this family. I got rid of it because she was wrong. I was everything without them. The game was over, and I had won. When my parents picked my brother's tournament over my award, I cut contact. 13 months later, Forbes published my face. They finally Googled me. The invitation arrived in a cream-colored envelope with gold embossing. You are cordially invited to the National Innovation Awards ceremony to recognize this year's Young Innovator Award winners. My name appeared on the third line below. Recipient Ryan Carter, Software Innovation category. I had 1 out of 250 candidates nationwide. 28 years old. My facial recognition accessibility program for visually challenged users has been named one of the year's greatest breakthroughs. The ceremony took place on December 12 at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C., and was black tie. My project would be featured. I would deliver a 5-minute speech. There would be press, industry leaders, and prospective investors. It was the pinnacle of my career. I called my parents that night. Hey, I got some news. What's up? Mom's voice sounded distracted, and there was a TV in the background. I earned an award. National Innovation Awards. It's a huge deal. Oh, that's great, honey. The ceremony is on December 12 in Washington, D.C. Congratulations. There is a supper thereafter. You and Dad are invited. +1 is permitted. I can get you tickets. Pause. December 12th. Yes, Saturday night. I understand it's short notice, but I just found out. A longer silence. Let me check with your father. I heard a muted conversation with Dad's voice in the background. Mom came back. Sweetie, that's the same weekend as Tyler's basketball tournament. Tyler is my younger brother, a 23-year-old college senior and point guard. It's just one night, I said. The tournament lasts whole weekend, right? Yes, but this is the championship bracket. He really wants us there. I really want you at my awards ceremony. I understand, but this is essential to Tyler. He's worked extremely hard. I sat there holding the phone. So I haven't? That wasn't what I meant. It's simply that basketball is his entire life right now, and I own this software. Can't you record your speech? Send us a video? I closed my eyes. Mom, this is a national award. I am being honored at the Kennedy Center. I realize that. But Tyler's tournament is more important. You got it. Don't be like that. I'm not like anything. I'm simply understanding the priorities. We'll attempt to make it if the game schedule allows. Don't worry, Mom. I hung up. I was sitting in the studio of my Arlington flat. Small and cheap. Every penny went into my startup. I looked over the invitation again, noting the gold embossing and my name. Then I looked at a family photo on my bookshelves. Last Christmas we were all at Tyler's college. We had driven 6 hours to see him play. Mom wore his jersey number. Dad had a foam finger. When Mom shared the photo on Facebook, I was in the back row, half clipped out. It was fine. That was natural. I opened my laptop and wrote an email to the awards committee. The names of the 3 guests are Lauren Kim and Michael Grant. Lauren was my business partner. Michael was my graduate school mentor. Not my parents nor my brother. People who had personally been there. I pressed send. The next 2 weeks were chaotic, finalizing my speech, tailoring it, coordinating with Lauren and Michael, booking hotels and planning flights. My phone remained quiet. Mom did not follow up with me. No call from Dad. Tyler sent an SMS 2 days before the event. I heard you won something. Congratulations, bro. Just that. No inquiries, no details. Just enough to indicate that he had acknowledged it. I did not respond. On December 11th I flew to Washington, D.C. We met Lauren and Michael at the hotel. Are your parents coming tomorrow? Lauren inquired over supper. No. Oh, a work thing? Brother's basketball tournament? She set down her fork. You're joking. Nope. Michael, who had known me for 5 years, simply shook his head. That's incredibly messed up. It's fine. It's not fine, Lauren told me. It's tremendous. This is your moment. I understand. That is why you two are here. We ate silently for a minute. Michael raised his glass. To Ryan, who built something extraordinary, with or without family support. We clinked our glasses. That night I could not sleep. I kept checking my phone. Part of me hoped Mom would text, saying they had changed their minds, that they would drive through the night, and that I was important enough. Nothing. December 12th at 5 p.m., I was wearing my tuxedo. Lauren wore a black dress. Michael wore a suit that really fit for once. We entered the Kennedy Center, where there was a red carpet and cameras, as well as other awardees and their families. I witnessed a woman about my mother's age crying while her daughter posed. I saw a parent tighten his son's bow tie. I saw siblings hugging and friends cheering. I saw everyone there with someone. "Are you okay?" Lauren whispered. "Yeah." My category was third, software innovation. They showed a film on my study, in which blind users discussed how facial recognition helped them identify family members, navigate social situations, and feel less isolated. Then my name, Ryan Carter. I walked onto the stage, shook hands with the presenter, and got the Crystal Award. It was weighty and substantial. I looked out at the audience, which included hundreds of people, industry leaders, the press, and families. Lauren and Michael stood 4 rows back and applauded. Not my parents, but those who believed in me when it counted. I gave a 5-minute speech about accessibility, technology's responsibility to serve everyone, and the users who motivated me. Received a standing ovation, walked off stage, held the prize, smiled for photos, and felt absolutely hollow. The subsequent dinner was placed in a downtown ballroom, open bar, networking, and everyone discussing their innovations, businesses, and futures. I stood at the bar, drinking my second whiskey, and watching everyone else celebrate with their families. My phone vibrated. Mom sent a text. "How did it go?" I stared at the message, 4 words sent 5 hours after the ceremony had concluded. There was no, "wish we were there," or, "we're proud of you." Just 4 words that felt like an obligation. I did not respond. Another buzz, this one from Tyler. "We've won! Championship, baby! Basketball trophy." Photo is attached. The team trophy, Mom and Dad in the backdrop, and enormous smiles. Dad wrapped his arm around Tyler, and Mom cried joyous tears. The precise comfort they couldn't provide me. I put away my phone. Lauren found me and said, "Stop hiding. There is a venture capitalist who wants to discuss funding." I am not hiding. You are actually standing in the corner drinking alone. I am networking internally. She dragged me into a group and introduced me. I shook hands, discussed my product, gave out business cards, and pretended everything was normal. That night, back at the motel, I reached a conclusion. I opened my phone and looked at the family group chat. Tyler's championship shot prompted 17 replies of celebration, congrats, and pride. My prize had not been mentioned once. I scrolled up and found the last time I posted something. My software was introduced 3 months ago. Dad responded with cool, and Mom with a heart emoji. Compared to Tyler's basketball update from the same week, 34 responses, full chats, Mom sharing with her friends. I took a screenshot and saved it. Then I did something I had been contemplating for years. I quit the group chat discreetly, without making a statement or causing any commotion. Then I went through my contacts and blocked Mom, Dad, and Tyler's numbers. Not out of rage, but out of clarity. They had made their choice. December 12th, Kennedy Center National Award. They'd chosen a basketball game, so I chose myself. I opened my email, began a draft to my parents, wrote and deleted 5 variants, and eventually settled on. I received a national award tonight. I delivered a speech at the Kennedy Center. I met investors that trust in my work. It was one of the most enjoyable nights of my life. Tyler had a basketball game, which is why you weren't there. I now understand priorities. My goal is to create a life in which I do not wait for those who do not show up. Do not contact me. I need some room. I need to focus on those who genuinely support me. That is not you. I hope Tyler's team enjoyed their victory. I'm confident it was worth it. Ryan, I read it 3 times before deleting it with my finger hovering over send. Sending it meant that I still wanted their understanding and appreciation. Instead, I just remained silent. There is no explanation or goodbye, only absence. They had taught me that I was optional, so I was opting out. The next morning, I flew home, changed my voicemail, removed social media applications, and configured my email to automatically delete anything from their addresses. Lauren noticed. "Are you okay? You have been quiet." "I'm okay. I was just thinking about your family. About how I don't need them to succeed." She watched. Me. No contact. No contact. For how long? Until they've earned it back. If they ever do. She nodded. Good. You deserve better. That week, my phone was continuously ringing. Unknown numerals. I didn't respond. The voicemails piled up. Mom. "Honey, you've left the family chat. Did you mean it?" Call me back. Dad. Your mother is worried. You are being childish. Call us. Tyler. Dude, what's up? Why have you blocked me? I deleted them all without hearing the end. Christmas arrived. No gifts from me arrived at their home. I spent it with Lauren and her family. Her parents inquired about mine. I said we weren't in touch. They did not push. New Year's. I established a goal. To make Forbes's 30 under 30 list. Not for them. For me. I worked 18-hour days, scaled my program, closed funding rounds, hired a team, and created something irrefutable. And for a year, my family was only a memory. I stopped checking. No calls, texts, or drops. Just stillness. The type that enables you to hear yourself clearly for the first time. And what I heard was this. I'd been waiting my entire life for them to congratulate me in the same way they did Tyler. But the celebration never came. So I stopped waiting and began creating something they could not ignore. Even if they had never seen it. The hush lasted exactly 13 months. Not because I was counting, but because that was the time it needed to create something undeniable. January began quietly. I relocated to a better apartment with 1 bedroom, natural light, and space for a home office. I paid for it myself. No housewarming party. Only Lauren and I were there to assist unpack, and Michael brought pizza. This is nice, Lauren commented, gazing around. Adult apartments. The studio was getting cramped. Do you mean depressing? That too. My phone remained blocked. Occasionally I received a voicemail notice from an unfamiliar number. I would remove it without listening. Did not need to. I knew what they'd say. Some variation of, "Why are you doing this? Call us back. You're overreacting." Never say, "We're sorry," or, "We should have been there." In February, we closed our $1.5 million Series A investment round. Led by a VC who had attended the award ceremony, witnessed my speech, and believed in the concept. The tech sites mentioned it briefly, nothing significant, but enough. Facial recognition startup receives financing. Accessibility software increases popularity. I wanted to see if my relatives would notice, if Dad Googled my name, if Mom would set notifications. Nothing. In March we hired our first 4 employees. A small team. Everyone's starving. Everyone believed in what we were creating. I worked 12-hour days, sometimes 16. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Because creating something was more important than focusing on those who didn't. April brought us our first large client, a blind school in Boston. They wanted to test our program. 20 students. Real users, real impacts. I flew out to meet them. I witnessed a 16-year-old girl use our app to identify her teacher for the first time without assistance. She cried. I cried. The teacher cried. That night I almost called my mother. Almost wanted to share it. Didn't, because she demonstrated that she wasn't interested unless it featured a ball and a scoreboard. In May, Michael advised that I apply for Forbes 30 under 30. You are 28, you have time, so why wait? I don't know if I'm Forbes material. You created accessible technology that assists visually impaired persons in identifying faces. You raised over $1 million. You're growing. What else do you need? A famous last name. He laughed. Please apply. Worst case scenario, you don't make it. In the best case scenario, you show everyone who doubted you incorrect. I applied, filled out the lengthy form, submitted financial documents, wrote essays on innovation, impact and scalability, attached news clippings, user testimonials and funding announcements, pushed submit at 2 a.m., and then forgot about it. In June my firm reached 12,000 users. Lauren hosted a workplace celebration with cupcakes, champagne, and team photographs. I shared one on LinkedIn, professional, celebrating a milestone. I tagged the team. My personal social media accounts remained inactive. I removed Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as any other platforms my family could use to stay in touch without actually communicating. If they wanted to know what I was doing, they would have to inquire. They did not. July brought an unexpected visitor, my cousin Samantha, Mom's niece. We'd been close as children. She arrived at my office unannounced. Hey stranger, I looked up from my computer. Samantha? How did you dash? LinkedIn. Your company's address is public, she said, holding up a coffee. Peace offering. I allowed her inside. We sat in a small meeting room. So, she said, you disappeared. I left a situation that wasn't working. Your mom's worried. Is she? All right, she's largely puzzled. She doesn't understand what happened. I earned a national award. They skipped it to attend Tyler's basketball game. I decided I didn't want people to treat me as an afterthought. Samantha was quiet. That's fair. Is it? Because obviously I'm the terrible guy for setting boundaries. You aren't the bad guy. But you already know how your family is. Tyler is the star. Always has been. So I'm simply meant to accept that? No. I'm saying I understand why you left. I studied her. Did Mom send you? Oh God, no. She is unaware that I am here. I arrived after seeing your fundraising announcement. $1.5 million is a large sum. Thanks. Also, I remember what it was like growing up and seeing Tyler get everything. Watching you take whatever was left over. I didn't think anyone noticed. I observed. It sucked. And I am sorry I never said anything. We talked for an hour about family, expectations, and what it meant to move away from harmful people, even if they shared your DNA. Before she departed, she hugged me. I am proud of you. What you've built. How you're handling this. All of it. Thanks, Samantha. If you ever want to grab coffee, just us, no family drama, let me know. I will. She departed. And for the first time since the Kennedy Center, I felt as if someone in my family had seen me. In August, we extended to 3 more cities, formed connections with accessibility organizations, and hired 2 more developers. Revenue was increasing. Press coverage was increasing. The company was becoming a reality. In September, I received an email. Subject, Forbes 30 Under 30, congratulations. My hands shook when I opened it. Dear Ryan Carter. Congratulations. You have been chosen for the Forbes 30 Under 30 in the corporate technology category. You are one of 500 people chosen from over 18,000 nominations in all categories. The list will be published in our December edition, following an online announcement on November 30th. We'll need new images and a quick interview. Welcome to Forbes' 30 Under 30 community. Best regards, Forbes editorial team. I sat there and read it 3 times. I made it. Forbes 30 Under 30. At 28, I called Lauren. I'm in. In what? Forbes. She actually yelled. Oh my God! Oh my God! Michael was next. He cried. I knew it. I knew you would. That night, the 3 of us went out to dinner at an upscale restaurant to celebrate. They toasted me, took pictures, and posted about it. I grinned, laughed, felt proud, and didn't think about my family because I had accomplished this without them. Despite them. The interview with Forbes was conducted over Zoom. A journalist inquired about my path, inspiration, and problems. Any family support? She inquired. My business partner and my mentor. They've been there since the beginning. What about parents? Siblings? We're not in contact. Oh, can I ask why? They prioritized my brother's basketball game over my awards ceremony. I decided to prioritize myself. She paused. That's going in the piece. Good. October passed in a haze. More growth, more users, more meetings, and more evidence that I had made the right decision. Forbes sent the advanced copy on November 29th. The magazine was scheduled to be released on December 3rd. Online announcement for November 30th at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I noticed my photo, full page, next to my company name, age and achievement. Ryan Carter, 28, is the founder and CEO of Vision AI, which makes facial recognition accessible to the visually challenged. Below is a quote from my interview. Success is not about proving others incorrect. It is about proving yourself correct. I forwarded a copy to Lauren and Michael. They replied within minutes. Lauren tells me, this is everything. So proud of you. Michael's reaction. Framing this. Putting it in my office. I went to bed that night knowing that in 7 hours, the piece will be live. My family would ultimately find out, perhaps through a friend or Google, but not from me. Because I didn't build it for them. I had created it in spite of them. And it made it much sweeter. November 30th, 7:01 a.m. My phone exploded. Not from my family, but from everyone else. LinkedIn notifications, text messages from past coworkers, and emails from mentors and former instructors. Saw the Forbes list, congratulations. Knew you'd make it. This is incredible. I grinned as I saw them arrive and spoke to a few of them. Then I received a call from an unknown number. I nearly didn't respond, but curiosity won. "Hello Ryan, it's Samantha, have you seen the news?" "What news?" "Your family." "Oh my God, they're losing their minds." "What do you mean?" "Tyler found your Forbes article." My heart has stopped. "How?" "He was at the dentist waiting room. Someone left the magazine, December issue. He was flipping through it and saw your face." I could not talk. "Ryan, you there?" "Yeah. What happened?" "He called your dad from the dentist's office panicking. I heard it through your mom. He was freaking out." "How did he do this? Like he performed magic?" I began laughing. I couldn't help it. "It's not funny," Samantha replied. "Okay, it's a little funny. But they're spiraling. Your mom's calling everyone asking if they knew. Your dad's Googling you. They found the funding announcement, the company. Everything. Good. They want to reach out. I'm still blocked. They'll find a way. Just warning you. Thanks, Samantha." After I hung up, I sat there thinking. Tyler had accidentally discovered my Forbes piece at a dentist's office and frightened because I'd done something he couldn't understand. Something that didn't require their help or presence. Something that demonstrated I didn't need them. My phone rang again, another unknown number. This time, I knew who it was, and I had a choice. Answer and let them back in, or let it ring and continue living the life I'd built without them. I gazed at my Forbes magazine on the coffee table, thinking about my face, my company, and the accomplishments I had attained without, despite, or beyond them. The telephone stopped ringing. I didn't call back because silence can be more powerful than any discussion. The calls did not stop. Over the next 4 days I received 40 calls from unknown numbers. I let each one go to voicemail. I listened to exactly 0 of them. On December 3rd the magazine hit the stands. Samantha gave me photographs of Barnes & Noble, airport newsstands and grocery store checkout lines. Forbes included my face next to the slogan 30 under 30. She also supplied screenshots from the family group chat, which I had quit a year earlier. "Mom. Did anyone know about this?" Tyler responded, "I literally found out at the dentist." Dad said, "He never mentioned Forbes." Aaron responded, "Maybe because none of you talked to him." Mom. "That isn't fair. He cut us off." Aaron responded, "After you skipped his award for a basketball game." I took a screenshot of that and forwarded it to Samantha. "Your mom's a real one." Samantha. "She waited a year to say that. LOL. The media requests began. Tech blogs were looking for interviews. Podcasts wanted me as a guest. The local news wanted to feature the hometown success story. I conducted 3 interviews. Each time they inquired about my journey. Every time I told the truth. My family chose not to support me, so I built something without them. Clean. Factual. No emotion. However, it had an impact. The clips went viral. Forbes 30 under 30 creator discusses family members that did not believe in him. Tech CEO triumphs despite family preference for brothers basketball over his award. Comment sections have erupted. This is why chosen family matters more than blood. Parents who play favorites deserve to lose their kids. He did not need them to win. That's power. December 5th. My office receptionist buzzed me. "Ryan, there is someone coming to see you. Says she is your mother." My stomach sank. "Tell her I'm not available." I did. "She says she will wait. Tell her I'm not available today, or tomorrow, or ever." Pause. "Okay, I'll let her know." 10 minutes later, Lauren knocked on my door. "Your mom's still in the lobby." "I know. What would you like to do?" "Nothing. She will leave eventually." She brought a casserole. I nearly laughed. A casserole in a Pyrex dish. She told Jen at reception, "It's your favorite." It isn't. Lauren sat down. "Would you like to chat to her?" "No." "Are you sure?" "Completely." She had 13 months to reach out, apologize and admit her actions. She waited till I was in Forbes. That's fair. My mother stayed in the lobby for 3 hours. Lauren eventually went down and told her I was not coming out. She left the casserole with a letter. Lauren brought both into my office. I threw away the dish unopened. Read the note. Ryan, I understand you're unhappy, but this has gone on long enough. We are family. The family works through things. Call me. We need to talk. Love you, Mom. I showed it to Lauren. Do you notice anything missing? She read it. No apology? Exactly. Just, you're unhappy, as if I were being crazy. And we need to chat, as if I owed her a conversation. I crumpled the paper and threw it away alongside the dish. December 5th. Dad took a different approach. He showed up to my gym at 5:30 a.m. We waited in the parking lot. When I pulled in, I spotted him sitting in his car, drinking coffee. I parked 3 spaces away, got out. He did too. Ryan, please. Just 10 minutes. I placed my gym bag over my shoulder. No. I'm your father. And I am your son. The one you left at the Kennedy Center. We did not forget. We played a basketball game. I understand. You made your decision. It wasn't like that. So what was it like, Dad? He struggled. Tyler needed us, but you didn't. You're always so independent. You never seem to need us. I paused and turned to face him fully. I earned a national award. I told you about it. I asked you to come. You mentioned possibly if Tyler's playing schedule allowed. That isn't independence. That's your decision. We were going to come to the next one. There's no next one. That was my moment. And you were not there. We're sorry. Are you? Are you sorry I didn't tell you I made Forbes? He looked down. Both. At least you're honest. I began strolling toward the gymnasium. Wait, your mother misses you. She misses the version of me that didn't require effort. That's not fair. I turned back. Do you know what isn't fair? Tyler received a championship party, a team meal, social media posts, and teary pleased parents. I got, how did it go? 5 hours after the ceremony, via text. That is not fair. We didn't know how important it was to you. Because you did not inquire. You assumed. You constantly assume I am fine, that I do not require attention, and that I am low maintenance. But you know what? I am no longer your low maintenance son. I'm one of Forbes's 30 under 30. And I did it without you. His face wrinkled. Can we please just talk? We're discussing. And I'm finished. I walked in. I didn't look back. Tyler did his best that night. Arrived at my apartment, managed to get past the building door, and knocked till I responded. Come on, dude. This is insane. What do you want, Tyler? I want my brother back. Do you want your brother back? Where was my brother when I received the national award? Oh. Right. I am shooting free throws. That is not fair. I had a championship game. And I had the most significant moment of my career. Which one mattered most? They're both important. So why did Mom and Dad choose yours? He did not have a response. Exactly. I started closing the door. Wait. I've read the Forbes piece, the interview. You mentioned that we were not in communication. You told the entire world. I told the truth. It makes us look bad. You look how you acted. I didn't know it meant that much to you. You never asked. You never pondered why I stopped speaking to you. You simply assumed I was being dramatic. I tried to call once, 3 days after you blocked me. Make one call. There is no follow-up. Tyler. That is not trying. That's checking a box. He passed his hand through his hair. I don't know what you want from me. I do not want anything from you. That is the point. I wanted you there a year ago. Now I'm fine. Is that it? Are we simply no longer brothers? We were not brothers when it counted. Why pretend now? I closed and locked the door, then heard him remain there for a minute before walking away. My phone vibrated. Samantha sent a text. I heard Tyler tried to see you. You okay? Me? Yeah. I'm just tired of explaining obvious things. Samantha. For what it's worth, half of the family believes you're correct. They're simply frightened to say it. Me. That is nice. But I don't need their approval anymore. Samantha. I understand. That is why I am proud of you. December 10th. The Forbes Gala invitation has arrived. You are cordially invited to the Forbes 30 Under 30 Summit and Gala in Boston, Massachusetts, from January 22nd to 25th. 4 days of panels, networking, And a celebratory dinner. +1 is permitted. I invited Lauren and Michael. No question. That night I wrote on LinkedIn, professional, clean, and pleased to be chosen a Forbes 30 under 30. Thank you to my teammates, investors, and everyone who believed in Vision AI's objective. I look forward to the summit in January. No mention of family. No mention of the journey. Just facts. Colleagues, industry executives, and past professors all expressed their congratulations. And then, buried among the comments, one from my mother. I'm really proud of you, Ryan. Always have been. Heart. I stared at that remark. Always has been. Always. I checked her profile and saw she had never commented on any of my previous posts. Not my funding announcement, my company milestones, or anything else. But now, a public statement on the most visible accomplishment, not because she was proud, but because she wanted others to see her as proud. I erased her comment. I blocked her on LinkedIn. Lauren called. Did you see your mother's comment? I deleted it. Good. That was a hell of a performance, right? Always has been. Was that at the Kennedy Center? Nowhere. Because it's nonsense. We spoke for an hour about family, limits, and the summit. Are you ready for Boston? She inquired. We're more than ready. This time, people will actually show up. Damn right. December passed into January. The calls from unknown numbers slowed and finally ceased. My family recognized I wasn't coming back, that Forbes wasn't a fluke, and that I'd created something substantial. And they missed everything. Not just the Forbes announcement, but the entire journey. Those late nights. The failures. Small wins. The biggest ones. All of it. While they were attending basketball games. On January 21st I flew to Boston. Lauren and Michael greeted me at the motel. Are you ready for this? Michael asked. I looked at the Forbes Summit banner in the lobby, and my name was on the participant list. Yeah. I am ready. Does your family know you are here? I don't know. I don't care. Lauren smiled. That's growth. The summit featured 4 days of seminars, networking, and celebration for 600 persons under 30 who had created something amazing. I was one of them. On the last night, the gala, I stood on stage with the other enterprise technology winners, all 5 of us holding plaques and smiling for photos. I peered out into the audience and saw Lauren and Michael in the 3rd row, standing and clapping, the individuals who had actually been there. And I didn't worry about my family once, because I'd finally learned the most crucial lesson. You can't make people proud if they refuse to see you. But you may create something so undeniable that their blindness is their loss, not yours. That was more than enough. The Forbes Summit concluded on Sunday night. I flew home with Lauren and Michael, watching the city lights blur beneath us. Different than last year, huh? Lauren said. I understood what she meant. Last year's win at the Kennedy Center was hollow, with empty seats where my family should have been. This year the auditorium was filled, and many showed up. Yeah, I replied. Very different. February brought what I had been avoiding, an email from my high school principal. We would love to have you speak at Career Day. Forbes 30 under 30 alumni. Students would become inspired. I stared at the email for 3 days. My high school is 15 minutes from my parents' residence. The same trophy cases that overlooked my academic achievements while praising Tyler's basketball. The same halls where teachers advised me to be more well-rounded. Part of me wanted to decline, retain the distance, and be safe. But another part of me, the part that had built a company from the ground up, wanted to stroll those halls as the person I had become. Accept it, I urged my new helper Julia. Schedule it for March. The school announced it on social media. Alumni success story returns. Samantha texted 2 days later. Your mother is losing her mind. I tried to get tickets. School said students only. Good. Are you certain you want to do this? I am sure. I am done hiding. March 12th was frigid. I drove to school in my second-hand Tesla. I parked in visitor parking, where I had previously put my beat-up Honda a decade earlier. The facility appeared smaller and older, but the gym, where I had spent 5 years watching Tyler, remained vast. The principal and I met in the lobby. Ryan, it's great to have you back. The same guy who earlier suggested I join student government to improve my college applications, rather than compete in coding competitions. We walked to the auditorium. Full house, he announced. There are 350 students. Some alumni requested to attend. I hope that's okay. Alumni represented possible family. That's fine. The doors opened. 350 teenagers and teachers lined the walls, with standing room only in the back. Samantha, my old English teacher, and 3 rows behind them, Mom, Dad, and Tyler. They'd found a way inside. Of course they did. I walked to the podium and stared out at 350 faces, including 3 in the back who had never looked at me more intensely. My first slide was not my corporate logo. A photo of me at the age of 16. Skinny, awkward, and alone at the cafe with his laptop. This was me, I admitted. I'm in my junior year and working on my first application. It crashed a lot, but I was proud of it. Some students laughed. I showed it to the teacher. He agreed it was interesting, then asked if I had considered basketball instead. Uncomfortable laughing. Next slide. Kennedy Center invitation. 6 years later, I received a national prize. Kennedy Center, Black Tie Press. My most significant professional achievement. Next slide. The auditorium seats are empty. My relatives did not arrive. Basketball game. Silence. Complete silence. I'm not saying this to get pity. I'm telling this because I learned something that night. You can't base your dreams on someone else's approval. I glanced directly at my parents, at Tyler. Some individuals will never honor you the way you deserve. That is okay. Their lack of vision does not define your success. Your work does. I guided them through Vision AI, explaining the users and funding. Forbes' success does not repair damaged relationships. It does not cause those who have previously disregarded you to suddenly notice you. It merely proves that you didn't need them in the first place. Final slide, Forbes 30 Under 30 logo. So if someone urges you to be practical, dismiss them. Celebrate even if no one acknowledges your accomplishment. Because you'll ultimately stop needing their attention. You will have your own. Questions arose. I spent 25 minutes answering questions about code, startups, and failure. Not a single query regarding my family. However, Mom later discovered me in the library reception area. Can we please talk? She appeared tiny, older, tired. I'm working, I explained. Students have questions. After 5 minutes, her voice crackled. Parking lot. In 5 minutes. When I'm done here. I stayed for 25 minutes, answering every student's question, handing out business cards, and then walking to the parking lot. All 3 were waiting beside my Tesla. Nice car, Dad remarked. Bought it myself. We're not here to fight, Mom replied hastily. We just want to talk. I checked my watch. 2 minutes. We were mistaken about the Kennedy Center. Almost anything. Okay. Is that it? Mom, what do you want? You were wrong. Great. Nothing changes. We want to fix this, Dad explained. What has to be fixed? 13 months of silence? You can't change that. It happened. Tyler stepped forward. You are my brother. That must count for something. It mattered when I needed you. Doesn't matter now. So we don't have a chance? Mom's voice cracked. I looked at her and saw the same person who had texted. How did it go? 5 hours after my ceremony. Who has remarked always proud on LinkedIn after years of silence. I don't need you anymore, I stated gently. For 13 months I created something spectacular. Without you. Despite you. And I was pleased. We're your family, Dad explained. No, you are folks I am related to. The family shows up. We failed you, Mom explained. Doesn't that mean something? So we're admitting it? This indicates you can live with yourself. This doesn't mean I have to let you back in. What do we need to do? Mom grasped my arm. Tell me. I will do anything. I examined her hand and then her face. You can't do anything. Because the person who needed you to show up no longer exists. I am not waiting for your approval. I'm one of Forbes's 30 Under 30. I created a life that did not include you. I got into my car and started the engine. Mom stood there crying, Dad's hand on her shoulder. Tyler looked lost. I didn't feel anything. Not satisfied, not vengeance, not sad. Only one thing remains. Closure. I drove away. I didn't look back. That night, Lauren called. So, how was it? Good. Productive. Has your family arrived? Yeah, and I told them the truth. I don't need them anymore. How are you feeling? Light, I said. I feel light. That's good. Yeah. Very good. 2 months later, Tyler sent me an email. Subject, no response required. I nearly erased it, but curiosity won. Ryan, I'm not attempting to contact you. I'm only respecting your boundaries. But I started therapy to figure out why I took you for granted. Why I never questioned mom and dad's priorities for me. I was selfish. I knew you were brilliant. I knew mom and dad regarded you like an afterthought, so I did nothing since it benefited me. Your Kennedy Center Award. I remember thinking, he'll understand. It is the championship. I hadn't even considered going to both. I am not asking for forgiveness. I simply wanted to let you know that I finally understand what I, they, and we all done. You created something amazing, not just your company, but yourself. And we missed it because we didn't look. I apologize. Sincerely, very sorry. Tyler. I reread it 3 times. I saved it in a folder called Closure. It was exactly what I wanted to hear a year ago. But now it simply felt like confirmation. I was correct. They were wrong. And I had moved on. December brought snow, marking 3 years since the Kennedy Center. I decorated my house, which I had purchased with cash 6 months ago. Small tree with nice lights. Christmas morning, I made coffee, sat on my couch, and watched the snow fall. My phone vibrated. Samantha says, "Merry Christmas." Merry Christmas. Are you doing okay? Yeah. Your family seems weird without you. Everyone pretends everything is fine, but it isn't. Not my problem to fix. I understand. I just wanted you to know that you are missed. At least by me. Thank you, Samantha. That means something. We hung up. I opened my laptop and examined the Vision AI metrics, 75,000 users and climbing. There is real influence. Real change. That was my family now. Those users, my crew, Lauren, Michael, Samantha. People who turned up, celebrated, and noticed me. I grinned as I looked at my Christmas tree, small, modest, and uniquely mine. Because this calm morning, in a house I bought, running a business I founded, living a life I designed, was the gift. Not vengeance. Not proving them incorrect. Just freedom. Freedom from waiting. From hoping. From needing folks who never met my needs. I had made something better. One border at a time. Take one day at a time. A life in which I was never treated as an afterthought. Where I was always the central figure. I turned up for me first. My phone remained on the table, silent and peaceful. And I let it be. Because certain silences are not empty, they are filled, full of self-respect, of limits, of recognizing your worth. And I had never been richer. When I caught my sister and my boyfriend in her old bedroom, Mom said, "Don't cause drama." So I didn't. I caused a $350,000 business collapse instead. Alright Reddit. Strap in because this is a train wreck from beginning to end. I'm 34 years old, sitting here in my new apartment, 4 months distant from the nuclear bomb that exploded in my family, and I decided it was time to get this off my chest. Some of you may say I went too far. Most of you will likely say I did not go far enough. In any case, here's how I gradually devastated my family's finances after discovering that my sister had been cheating on my boyfriend for the whole 4 years of our relationship. Let me begin with the familial dynamics, as this is critical backdrop for understanding why I did what I did. My younger sister Chloe, 29, has always been the golden kid. Not in the nuanced way that makes you question whether you're being paranoid. I'm talking about blatant partiality that would prompt a sitcom writer to remark, "Tone it down." That's unrealistic. Growing up I was the responsible one. Got good grades without being asked, helped around the house and was working part-time by the age of 16. Standard older sibling crap. However, Chloe operates under very other rules. Did you fail any classes in high school? She's simply not challenged enough. Got caught shoplifting? Just a phase. Girls will be girls. Have you crashed your father's car? Accidents happen. That is what insurance is for. Meanwhile, I received a 2-week suspension for returning home an hour after curfew to assist a friend whose car had broken down. The real stinger is how this carried over into adulthood. I worked hard to get through college, graduated with a finance degree, and got a good job as a financial analyst. Nothing fancy, but I was making a good living and moving up the career ladder. I bought my own place at the age of 27, paid off my car, and had actual savings. Chloe dropped out of college after 1 year, went through a series of failed businesses, and lived in her parents' basement until she was 26. Every unsuccessful firm was just a result of bad timing or a failure to understand her goal. Every job she left was because her supervisor could not manage her inventive ideas. But this is where it becomes significant to the plot. Dad requested me 3 years ago to assist him restructure the finances of his construction company. He'd created a solid business over 32 years, but when it came to money management, he was a traditionalist. Everything was in his head or on paper, with no real mechanisms in place. I spent 8 months setting up solid bookkeeping, generating project tracking spreadsheets, and establishing stronger supplier relationships. I saved him approximately $95,000 that first year simply by optimizing operations. Is he thanking you? A handshake followed by, "That's what family does." After 3 years, Dad decides to semi-retire, and Chloe takes over as his successor. Despite my sister's lack of experience in building, project management, or business ownership, I had been assisting with financial management for free the entire time. However, Chloe received the actual title and pay, and Dad transferred half of the business ownership to her name. When I mentioned that I'd practically been performing the CFO job for free for 4 years, Dad remarked, "You have your own career. Chloe needs this more than you do. Right? Because that is how company succession should work. Give it to the person who needs it the most, rather than the person who is genuinely competent." But I let it go because I'm a goddamn doormat who believed family should mean anything. Now, let us chat about my guy. Okay, ex-boyfriend Derek. He and I met at a cookout 5 years ago, through mutual acquaintances. He was funny, knowledgeable, worked as a dental hygienist, and we immediately clicked. After a few months I became more serious about dating. I introduced him to my family around month 3, which is probably when everything went wrong. Chloe applied the charm instantly. Her skill is being the gregarious, witty, life-of-the-party lady, whereas I am the dull one who discusses spreadsheets and retirement accounts. I recall her taking me aside at the first supper and saying, "Dude, he's way out of your league. How'd you manage that?" I shrugged it off. Stupid me. Derek became increasingly connected with my family over the course of the next 4 years. He'd attend their Sunday dinners, help Mom with holiday preparations, and even accompany my aunt on a few shopping trips. I thought it was amazing that my boyfriend got along with my family. What might go wrong? He and Chloe got very close. They followed each other on social media. He'd laugh extra hard at her jokes, and she'd always find an excuse to converse with him during family events. But I trusted him, so I didn't think much of it. My best friend Tyler tried to warn me about 8 months ago. We were at a bar watching the game and he casually mentioned it. "Hey, not trying to start anything, but has Derek been acting weird lately? Like distant?" I thought about it. He had lost interest in sex, had more conflicts over trivial matters, and was constantly on his phone. But I'd been busy at work, so I assumed we were just stuck in a rut. Every relationship passes through phases. I told Tyler, "We're fine." He didn't press it, but he gave me this look, like, "I tried to tell you." The truth emerged 4 months ago in the most sad way possible. I was at my folks' place, helping Dad with some papers. Chloe was supposed to be on a job site and Derek was scheduled to work an afternoon shift. I was in my home office when I heard some noises upstairs. I wondered if Dad was up there, so I went to check. That's when I heard them, in Chloe's childhood bedroom, which she still uses when she visits. Derek's voice is certainly not alone. Then Chloe laughs. I stood there in the corridor for perhaps 30 seconds, unable to understand what I was hearing. Then the rage set in. Not the exploding sort, but the cold, calculated kind that forces you to think straight for the first time in years. I took out my phone and began recording sounds through the door. We got roughly 3 minutes of really incriminating evidence. Then I walked downstairs, got into my car, and drove home. Did not confront them. Didn't break through the door. Just gathered evidence and departed. That night I browsed Derek's laptop while he was in the shower. I understand, invasion of privacy, but call it instinct. My gut was correct. Found communications dating back nearly 4 years, virtually our whole relationship. The messages were horrible. Not just the physical aspects, but the way they referred to me. "She's so dull in bed. Does she ever do something spontaneously? Your sister is cute, but she's virtually a robot." Chloe responded even worse. "She will not find out. She's overly preoccupied with work. Sometimes I feel awful, but he obviously likes me. Honestly, the chick has no game." The timeline was damning. The first message was sent 4 months after Derek and I began dating. They had been causing trouble at family events, in my apartment while I was at work, and even in my car once when Derek borrowed the entire night documenting everything, screenshots, timestamps and the audio recording from before. Created a complete file. Then I opened a beer and began to plot. Derek attempted sexual intercourse with me the following morning. I informed him I was not feeling well. He appeared relieved. I spent the week acting quite normal. Went to work, got home, ate dinner with Derek, and watched television. I spent the entire time arranging my parts. First, I contacted 3 separate lawyers and scheduled consultations. I needed to know what my legal alternatives were, particularly with Dad's business and any financial entanglements. Second, I saved every file I'd made for Dad's firm to a personal hard drive, including 4 years of financial records, supplier contracts, project management systems, customer connections, and everything else that kept the business operating smoothly. I then formatted the company's backup drives. Whoops. Third, I began making phone calls. Remember how I developed contacts with their suppliers? Now is the time to put that to use. I informed them that I was leaving the company and wanted to thank them for their business. I casually said that if they ever needed assistance, I'd be available to freelance as a financial counselor. Several others indicated they would keep me in mind. Fourth, and most importantly, I contacted their largest client, a property development company that accounted for approximately 45% of my father's revenue. Grant, the owner, and I had developed a friendship over the years. I had helped him comprehend the proposals, gave cost breakdowns, and even identified a few flaws that saved him money. I informed Grant that I was leaving the family firm and suggested that he carefully evaluate all future contracts. I indicated that my replacement had little experience in commercial construction. Grant thanked me and promised to keep that in mind. Then I waited for the ideal opportunity. It arrived the following Sunday after family supper. Everyone was there: Mom, Dad, Chloe, my aunt and uncle, and Derek. I'd brought my laptop and explained that I wanted to show everyone images from a company event. We had finished dining, and Mom was clearing plates when I stood up and announced that I had something to contribute. "So I've got some news," I said. "Derek and I are breaking up." Everyone froze. Derek turned pale. Chloe stared at her plate. Mom quickly asked, "Oh honey, what happened? You two seem very pleased." "Well, that's actually the interesting part," I remarked, pulling out my laptop. "We seemed happy because I didn't know Derek had been sleeping with my sister for the last 4 years." The hush was deafening, followed by turmoil. Mom gasped, Dad demanded to know what I was talking about, and my aunt gazed at Chloe and Derek as if she couldn't believe it. I pulled up the screenshots and flipped the laptop around. Here are 4 years of communications. Here's the audio from last week, when I found them in Chloe's old room. And here's a chronology that shows they've been fooling around at almost every family function since the 3rd month of my relationship. Derek burst into tears immediately. Not the, "I'm sorry I harmed you" sobbing, but the "I was caught crying." There is a big difference. What about Chloe though? Chloe attempted to keep it calm. "Look sis," she began. I cut her off. "Do not talk to me, Chloe." Mom predictably went into damage control mode. "Let's all calm down and talk about this logically. Being angry will not solve anything." "I am calm," I stated. "I've had a week to process this. I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen." Dad eventually spoke up. "Lauren, this is clearly serious." "Chloe, what the hell were you thinking?" Chloe shrugged, truly shrugged. "I do not know, Dad. These things just happen occasionally." "Do these things just happen?" That was when I lost it. Not yelling, but something inside me has gone absolutely frigid. "Do you know what?" I said. "You're totally correct. Things just happen. Speaking of which, I wanted to let you know that I am leaving the company. Effective immediately. There will be no more free financial consultations. No more bookkeeping. No more supplier ties. You two have fun figuring it out." Dad's face quickly changed from angry to concerned. "Now hold on. Let's not base commercial judgments on personal matters." "Personal issues?" I said. "Dad, your golden daughter has been screwing my boyfriend at your house for 4 years. That's not a personal issue. That is a fundamental lack of respect that I will no longer tolerate." Derek then began explaining about how it had just happened and how he never meant to hurt me, blah blah blah. I cut him off. "You're finished talking. Get your stuff out of my apartment by tomorrow night, or it'll go in the dumpster." Then I turned to Chloe. "And you? I hope he was worth it. Really." Because you are about to see what that firm looks like when you have to operate it on your own. Mom started her peacemaker regimen. Let's avoid saying something we'll later regret. Family is forever. And I understand everyone is furious right now, but... Mom, I'm going to stop you right there, I told you. You have spent your entire life making excuses for Chloe. Every failure, every mistake, every selfish act she's ever committed has helped her become the type of person who would do this without hesitation. So, no, I am not interested in maintaining peace. I'm not interested in seeing any of you again. I closed my laptop and walked away. I didn't look back, did not give anyone an opportunity to answer. I just left, got into my car, drove to Tyler's apartment, and told him everything. How did he respond? Finally, I've been waiting for you to grow a spine. The following day was Monday. I went into Dad's office before anybody else came, packed my personal belongings, removed my login credentials from all company systems, and left my keys on the desk. Then I wrote an email to Dad and Chloe. I am officially retiring from all paid and unpaid positions with the company. All financial data, project files and supplier contracts are saved on the system. The login information is with your IT guy. I have disabled my access to all accounts. Good luck with your future ventures. Do not approach me unless it is through a lawyer. I forwarded that email to both my personal account and the lawyers I had met with. Paper trail, baby. Derek arrived to my flat that night, distraught and demanding to chat. I had the locks changed that morning, so he couldn't enter. He stood at my door for 25 minutes before departing. Following that, everyone began sending texts. Mom. Please do not do this. We can work things out as a family. Dad. We need to discuss the business. This is more than personal feelings. Chloe. Come on, sis. Are you really going to abandon your family over this? Sorry, but these things do happen. Can't we just get past it? That text caused my blood to boil all over again. Sometimes these things just happen. I sent it to Mom with a simple statement. This is who you raised. Congratulations. Her response was, she is young and made a mistake. Don't cause problems by carrying grudges. We are family. Avoid causing controversy. That's what drove me from walking away to aggressively burning everything down. See, I was planning to simply break contact and go on with my life. Get therapy, heal, and meet someone who isn't a cheating piece of rubbish. But Mom's SMS message solidified something for me. They didn't believe what transpired was wrong. They simply felt I was overreacting. So I decided to give them a genuine problem to worry about. Remember the supplier ties I'd developed? It's time to activate them. I contacted their lumber supplier first. These guys contributed over 55% of our materials for residential construction. I had a wonderful rapport with the owner, Paul, who always appreciated how quickly I handled payments and detected invoicing errors before they caused problems. Hey Paul, just a heads up, I informed him over the phone. I am no longer with the company. My sister is taking over the finances, and she has some different notions regarding payment conditions. He became quiet. Different how? Well, you remember how we always did net 30 and paid on time? Yeah, I can't say whether that will continue. I just thought you should know. He thanked me for the warning. Within a week he had altered Dad's account from net 30 to payment upon delivery. There will be no more floating costs between projects. I made similar calls to the other big suppliers. I didn't explicitly criticize the company, I simply stated that I no longer manage funds and could not guarantee future payment reliability. The majority of them tightened their terms quickly. Then I contacted Grant, the property developer whose company generated approximately 45% of Dad's revenue. I went him to lunch and told him the entire tale. He winced in sympathy and said he had previously considered my warning. Your sister put in a bid for the Oak Street project, he told me. It's about 35% lower than what you would normally quote because she doesn't understand the margins. I said she believes she can make it up someplace, but she can't. You'll get halfway through the project and either the quality will suffer or she'll request additional money. Grant nodded slowly. What would be your bid? I mentally calculated the costs, materials, labor, and a reasonable profit. I gave him a value that was approximately 30% higher than Chloe's bid but still attainable. That's more in line with what I expected, he told me. Tell you what, I'm going to deny your father's bid. If you ever start your own consulting firm, please let me know. I'd rather work with someone who understands what they're doing. That lunch planted a seed. The following week, Dad and Chloe began to feel the pressure. Dad contacted me personally, bypassing the typical sequence of guilt texts. We need to talk about the supplier situation, he continued, trying to appear authoritative but mostly sounding strained. They're changing our payment terms. Do you know anything about it? I have no idea, Dad. I'm no longer with the company, remember? Those ties took years to develop. Yes, they did. Built by me, by being dependable and professional. Perhaps they are simply adjusting to the new management structure. He was quiet for a long time. Oak Street also fell through. Grant said our bid was unrealistic. That's unfortunate. You spoke with him, didn't you? I ate lunch with a previous client as a private citizen. Is this illegal? He hung up on me. Mom's text messages became increasingly frequent. I was being vindictive. This was impacting the entire family. Why couldn't I simply let it go? They apologized. But they weren't. Not really. There was no explanation for what they had done wrong. Just, sorry you're angry, sorry this occurred, and let's go on. So I continued going. I established a consulting LLC. It took me 2 weeks to register everything and put together a rudimentary website. Then I contacted my network, which included contractors, project managers, and developers, and offered financial consultation, bid preparation, supplier negotiations, bookkeeping, cash flow triage, and whatever else they required. Within a month, I had 4 clients. Within 2 months, I was earning more than my day job. I gave notice at my analytic job and joined full-time consultancy. Here's the best part. 3 of those clients previously subcontracted for Dad's firm. They didn't switch despite him. They simply needed financial advice, and I was accessible. However, projects that would have gone to Dad were now directed to competitors who had their numbers together. Dad's business began hemorrhaging. Not in a dramatic way, but gradually and steadily. Projects bid too cheap were under budget on paper, but nevertheless lost money. Material expenses exceeded expectations since Chloe had not included shipping fees and waste. Labor ran over because she scheduled everything as if optimism could build concrete on its own. About 4 months after I departed, Dad contacted again. We need help, he remarked without preface. The business is in trouble. I'm sorry to hear that, I responded. Don't give me the corporate kill mode, Lauren. We can't get good deals from vendors anymore. We are losing bids. Half of our reliable replacements have moved on. Sounds like a rough market, I responded. Have you thought about employing a financial consultant? I've heard there are some good ones available. He exhaled like if I had hit him. God damn it, stop playing games, you're right, it's serious. This is what Chloe and Derek did. That was your reaction. Don't cause any drama. This is not drama, Dad. This is business. If we go under, your mother and I will lose everything. The house, our retirement, everything. That caused me to pause. Not out of sympathy but to better grasp the situation. What do you mean, everything? He had used his house as collateral for business debts. Growth had resulted in debt. It was effective for managing cash flow. Now not so much. How deep? I asked. About $350,000, maybe more. Jesus, that did not happen in 4 months. How long have you been running at a loss? Silence. Maybe a year, he replied. Chloe said she had it under control. Of course she did. Has she been paying herself a salary the entire time? She's the managing partner, he added hesitantly. She deserves compensation. How is that working out? Here's my offer, I said. I will consult for your company. My hourly cost is $250, with a minimum of 25 hours per week and bi-monthly billing. Payment is expected upon receipt. I'll evaluate the finances, develop a reasonable budget, and renegotiate with suppliers wherever possible. Condition 1. Chloe is not involved in any financial decisions. Second, each important business decision must go through me first. 3. We never discuss personal family issues. This is strictly business. That is extreme. You used to do it for free. I used to do a lot of things before your daughter slept with my lover in your home for 4 years while you all turned a blind eye. Prices have risen. Take or leave it. He took it. Desperation is a very powerful pen. I arrived Monday with a contract that would make a loan shark pleased. Aside from my salary, I had clauses for decision-making authority, full access to data, and the right to leave with 2 weeks' notice if they did not follow suggestions. Then I began the audit. It was worse than I had expected. Chloe had not just been awful, she had been horrifically careless. I discovered $55,000 in unpaid invoices for finished work because she failed to deliver them. I discovered $35,000 in duplicate supplier payments because she did not check ledgers before clicking pay. 3 large jobs were bid so cheap that they were undoubtedly losers. Chloe's work credit card for client schmoozing resembled restaurants, gas for her own car, and 1 weekend in Vegas. Payroll taxes had not been filed correctly in 7 months, resulting in penalties as if it were a hobby. I documented everything and sent Dad a beautiful report with a cover note. This is what happens when you give over a business to someone based on preference rather than expertise. Then I outlined my recommendations. Chloe is instantly removed from any financial authority. Set up automatic payments for your recurring bills. Call the IRS to renegotiate. It'll cost around $12,000 in penalties, but it's better than the alternatives. Stop accepting new projects until we have completed and billed existing ones. Dad takes a lower income for 7 months to rebuild funds, cancels the corporate card, and requires Chloe to reimburse personal expenses. Dad agreed to everything except removing Chloe from the company totally. She's still my daughter, he explained. She deserves a place. Fine, I said. I rewrote her role. She may keep her position, accept a 35% pay cut, and have no access to funds, client correspondence, or bidding. She was a project manager without any power. Chloe discovered the truth and became distraught. She called me, her voice shaking with wrath. You're trying to destroy me. No, I replied. I'm limiting the harm. The difference now is that I'm compensated to clean up your mess. You've always been jealous, she snarled. I laughed. What are you jealous of? Your ability to detonate anything you touch. Your intention to disappoint everyone, including yourself. Sure. I'm extremely jealous. Over the next few weeks I completed exactly what I was hired to accomplish. No more or less. I renegotiated supplier conditions which were not as favorable as before but still better than pay on delivery. Collected the unbilled funds and established an accounting system that even Dad could follow. The business has stabilized. It did not grow, but the hemorrhage subsided. Sustainable for operations but not for Dad's retirement plan. About 6 months later, Mom called for the first time since the implosion. Your father is exhausted, she explained. He's 66 and works 60-hour weeks. This has to cease. I agree, I replied. He should sell the business and retire. It's his legacy, she explained. Then he should have thought about that before handing it to someone who had no idea what she was doing. What do you want from me, Mother? I asked. Come back. Run it properly. Help him retire in dignity. At what cost? Do I just forget that Chloe spent 4 years sleeping with my boyfriend? Pretend you didn't look the other way. Your first answer was, don't cause drama. We didn't know, she insisted. Sure, I replied. Derek spent each Sunday at your house, Chloe too. Do you think they were just great friends? You saw what you wanted to see because it was simpler. She had nothing for it. Here's what's going to happen, I stated in response. I will complete my deal. 5 months remain. During that time, I will prepare the business for sale. Dad can retire. Downsizing is an option. Chloe can plan her own career. After that, I'm finished. No family dinners. No holidays. No pretending. You're being cruel. No, I'm finally being honest. I then hung up. True to my word, I spent the following 5 months putting things in order. I improved systems, documented every procedure, created a portfolio of completed tasks, and quietly contacted my professional network to discover potential buyers. Eventually, I discovered one. A mid-sized construction company moving into our region. They were impressed by the way I had rebuilt things, the transparency of the documents, and how clean everything looked after years of chaos. They offered $850,000 for the business. After repaying their debts, Dad and Chloe would have approximately $450,000. If they were wise, they could afford a tiny condo and a tranquil existence, but not enough to retire in Italy. The transaction completed 2 months ago. I attended the final signing not as a family member, but as a consultant. I shook hands with the new owners, handed over all of my documents, and walked out the door. Dad followed me to the parking lot. His voice was quiet and tired. Lauren, I know things didn't go the way anyone wanted. They went exactly the way you made them go, I informed you. You preferred Chloe over competence. You chose tranquility over accountability. These are the consequences. He looked down. She's still your sister. Biologically, I answered. In every other way that matters? Number. We're finished. I drove away. I didn't look back. The irony is that drive seemed like the first truly liberating moment of my life. For years I'd been the one who fixed things, made peace, and cleaned up other people's messes. But for once, I wasn't repairing. I was finished. What about the epilogue? It's good. Very good. My consultancy business is prospering. I'm earning 3 times what I used to as a financial analyst, working half the hours, and picking who I work with. I'm not gaslighted by anyone. Nobody takes advantage. Because of family, no one turns up my work to anyone else. It turns out that peace of mind pays more than any promotion could. And sure, I am seeing someone new. His name is Ethan. He's a project manager at one of my clients' businesses, smart, grounded, and the type of calm that doesn't need to prove anything. When I gave him the whole tale, including the terrible parts, he didn't feel sorry for me. He did not make a joke about it. He just looked at me and remarked, "You're way nicer than I would have been. We're taking things slowly. There will be no love bombing, drama, or countless promises that will fade in the light of day." He understands what I've been through and doesn't try to cure it. He's just listening. Sometimes all healing need is someone who sees the scar and does not flinch. Tyler, my best friend, will occasionally provide me with an update. He still speaks with people who know my family. Dad and Mom reportedly sold their home and relocated to a smaller unit. They're assisting Chloe with her rent, so the money is disappearing faster than intended. Of course they are. It turns out that when you lose your lucrative fictional job and have no real-world experience, starting over isn't as appealing as it seems. She's been switching professions every other week, talking big about a new company idea, and still believes the universe owes her another shot. And Derek, he attempted to contact you a few months ago. A lengthy dramatic text explaining how he is in therapy, how he has understood all he done wrong, and how he wishes to apologize properly. I read it, felt nothing, and erased it. Chloe also texted, "I hope you are happy now. You destroyed our family's business solely to exact retribution." I replied to that one. "No, Chloe, I did not destroy anything. I rescued what I could from your stupidity, saved Dad enough to retire, and moved away. The fact that you see me refusing to sacrifice myself for you as vengeance reveals everything about who you are. Do not contact me again." She did not. People occasionally ask if I regret the nuclear option, the scorched earth policy, or the utter separation. What's the truth? Not even a little. I regret believing in those who did not deserve it. I regret assuming that family meant unconditional support rather than a one-sided transaction. But stepping away, taking charge of my life, and allowing those who deceived me to suffer the consequences of their own actions. No regrets. Mom's last text was almost a month ago. Family is supposed to forgive each other. My response was straightforward. Family is supposed to avoid screwing each other over in the first place. You should try that with your next child. I then blocked her number. That was the last time any of them communicated. So yes, Reddit. That is my story. My sister slept with my boyfriend. My relatives warned me not to stir trouble. So I did what I do best. I calculated, I performed, and I came out richer, calmer, and more free. These days I wake up, make coffee, open the balcony door, and breathe. There's a type of peace that only comes when you stop allowing people to drain you. The business keeps me busy but not exhausted. I chose my clients and my hours. I no longer have to supervise ineptitude. I truly enjoy my work. And Ethan, the new guy, is the first person to make the silence feel like home rather than lonely. We are not rushing anything. We do not need to. I've already been through a hurricane. I don't need fireworks right now. I need warmth. Sometimes I go back to that Sunday supper, that dreadful silence before the chaos, the way Mom gasped, Dad yelled, Chloe froze, and I went out without saying goodbye. At the moment, it seemed like my life was collapsing, but it wasn't. It was clearing. They say that revenge solves nothing. Maybe they are right. But peace solves everything. Because devastation is not always the best form of vengeance. It is becoming untouchable. And that is precisely what I became. These days I hardly think about them. Not out of bitterness, but because they no longer exist in my daily existence. The few mutual pals who still speak with Chloe claim she is reinventing herself. She uses social media to share encouraging quotations about growth and forgiveness, which is ironic given that she has never apologized. Naturally, Mom likes each and every post. Dad simply does not use the internet. I suppose shame has a way of silencing individuals. What about me? I'm good. Better than good. I used to believe that serenity was something you had to earn, that if you worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, and forgave quickly enough, it would ultimately come to you. But peace is not given. It's taken. It is selecting yourself, even if others consider it selfish. A few nights ago, Ethan and I were sitting on the balcony, wine glasses half full with the city lights flickering below. He asked me, "Would you ever return? Not to them, but to the older version of yourself." I laughed. The one who believed that loyalty equaled self-sacrifice? Number. She's gone. He grinned slightly and nodded. Good. She deserved better. There are no grandiose statements or pledges, just a peaceful understanding, and to be honest, that is exactly what I had been craving all along. These are not great gestures, just peace. My therapist once told me, healing isn't always about repairing bridges. It's learning that some people were never meant to cross the same river with you. I think about this a lot since it's exactly what happened. I didn't burn any bridges. I created new ones that lead somewhere greater. Sometimes I get those Facebook memories, family gatherings, birthdays, and all those posed smiles. For a moment, it stings. But then I remember what those photographs conceal. Favoritism, quiet manipulation, and the unwavering assumption that I would solve everything. I close the app, take a big breath, and return to the life that is now mine. Ethan and I have been discussing vacationing next year. Nothing fancy. Perhaps somewhere peaceful, the ocean, the mountains, away from everything that used to hurt. He joked that I'll probably continue to check my emails from the beach. And he's probably correct. Old habits die hard. But this time, it will be my job, my success, and my peace. Sometimes I wonder whether Chloe is awake at night wondering about all she has lost. Not necessarily me, but the narrative of her life in which she was untouchable, and any mistakes were put under the brush. Maybe she does, maybe not. Regardless, it is no longer my problem. For the first time, my life is clear. No confusion, no emotional debt, simply equilibrium. And if somebody from my former life comes across this piece and recognizes themselves in these lines, here's what I'd say. You did not break me, you released me. So that's how I lost my family, found my freedom, and discovered that sometimes the cleanest revenge isn't destruction, but elevation. Because peace is the type of prosperity that no one can take, and I'm finally rich. It had been 14 months since the dinner that ended everything. I've never felt lighter. The flat that previously felt too quiet now feels like home. The hum of the city at night. The clink of my coffee mug on the counter in the morning. Tiny sounds that remind me I'm creating a life for myself. There is no shame, no chaos, and no avoiding other people's stupid actions. Ethan is still here, stable as ever. He is patient in a way that used to make me suspect, as if I was waiting for the catch, the treachery, or the inevitable mask to fall. But it has not. He is the type of man who does not need to prove his worth by bringing others down. He inquires before he touches. He listens to what I say. He shows up. We're still taking things slowly, which is exactly the way I prefer it. There's no timetable, no pressure, and no faking. Sometimes we work side by side in silence. Me on my laptop, him sketching out blueprints for a project, and the silence feels like protection. My business has increased in size. What began as a simple revenge effort grew into something real and powerful. I currently have a small crew of 2 analysts, 1 bookkeeper, and a part-time helper. They joke that I manage things like a Navy commander. Maybe I do. But they're happy, well paid, and we do a damn fine job. A few weeks ago I received an email from Grant, a developer who previously worked at my father's company. He invited me to bid on a huge new project. He stated that he would not trust anyone else with his finances. That email made me laugh. Not with arrogance, but out of relief. Proof that everything I'd done, every difficult decision, every boundary imposed, had been worthwhile. I didn't burn any bridges. I just quit crossing the ones that went nowhere. Chloe, according to what I hear, is working part-time at a design studio, still tweeting about new beginnings, and apparently, finding herself. Mom and Dad sold the condo again and moved it. I spent. Fourth, and most importantly, I contacted their largest client, a property development company that accounted for approximately 45% of my father's revenue. Grant, the owner, and I had developed a friendship over the years. I had helped him comprehend the proposals, gave cost breakdowns, and even identified a few flaws that saved him money. I informed Grant that I was leaving the family firm and suggested that he carefully evaluate all future contracts. I indicated that my replacement had little experience in commercial construction. Grant thanked me and promised to keep that in mind. Then I waited for the ideal opportunity. It arrived the following Sunday after family supper. Everyone was there. Mom, Dad, Chloe, my aunt and uncle, and Derek. I'd brought my laptop and explained that I wanted to show everyone images from a company event. We had finished dining, and Mom was clearing plates when I stood up and announced that I had something to contribute. "So, I've got some news," I said. "Derek and I are breaking up." Everyone froze. Derek turned pale. Chloe stared at her plate. Mom quickly asked, "Oh honey, what happened?" "You two seemed very pleased." "Well, that's actually the interesting part," I remarked, pulling out my laptop. "We seemed happy because I didn't know Derek had been sleeping with my sister for the last 4 years." The hush was deafening, followed by turmoil. Mom gasped. Dad demanded to know what I was talking about, and my aunt gazed at Chloe and Derek as if she couldn't believe it. I pulled up the screenshots and flipped the laptop around. Here are 4 years of communications. Here's the audio from last week when I found them in Chloe's old room, and here's a chronology that shows they've been fooling around at almost every family function since the 3rd month of my relationship. Derek burst into tears immediately. Not the, "I'm sorry I harmed you" sobbing, but the "I was caught crying." There is a big difference. What about Chloe though? Chloe attempted to keep it calm. "Look sis," she began. I cut her off. "Do not talk to me, Chloe." Mom predictably went into damage control mode. "Let's all calm down and talk about this logically. Being angry will not solve anything." "I am calm," I stated. "I've had a week to process this. I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen." Dad eventually spoke up. "Lauren, this is clearly serious." "Chloe, what the hell were you thinking?" Chloe shrugged, truly shrugged. "I do not know, Dad. These things just happen occasionally." "Do these things just happen?" That was when I lost it. Not yelling, but something inside me has gone absolutely frigid. "Do you know what?" I said. "You're totally correct. Things just happen. Speaking of which, I wanted to let you know that I am leaving the company, effective immediately. There will be no more free financial consultations. No more bookkeeping. No more supplier ties. You two have fun figuring it out." Dad's face quickly changed from angry to concerned. "Now hold on. Let's not base commercial judgments on personal matters." "Personal issues?" I said. "Dad, your golden daughter has been screwing my boyfriend at your house for 4 years. That's not a personal issue. That is a fundamental lack of respect that I will no longer tolerate." Derek then began explaining about how it had just happened, and how he never meant to hurt me. Blah blah blah. I cut him off. "You're finished talking. Get your stuff out of my apartment by tomorrow night or it'll go in the dumpster." Then I turned to Chloe. "And you? I hope he was worth it. Really. Because you are about to see what that firm looks like when you have to operate it on your own." Mom started her peacemaker regimen. "Let's avoid saying something we'll later regret. Family is forever. And I understand everyone is furious right now, but..." "Mom, I'm going to stop you right there. I told you. You have spent your entire life making excuses for Chloe. Every failure, every mistake, every selfish act she's ever committed has helped her become the type of person who would do this without hesitation. So, no, I am not interested in maintaining peace. I'm not interested in seeing any of you again." I closed my laptop and walked away. I didn't look back. Did not give anyone an opportunity to answer. I just left, got into my car, drove to Tyler's apartment, and told him everything. How did he respond? "Finally, I've been waiting for you to grow a spine." The following day was Monday. I went into Dad's office before anybody else came, packed my personal belongings, removed my login credentials from all company systems, and left my keys on the desk. Then I wrote an email to Dad and Chloe. I am officially retiring from all paid and unpaid positions with the company. All financial data, project files, and supplier contracts are saved on the system. The login information is with your IT guy. I have disabled my access to all accounts. Good luck with your future ventures. Do not approach me unless it is through a lawyer. I forwarded that email to both my personal account and the lawyers I had met with. Paper trail, baby. Derek arrived to my flat that night, distraught and demanding to chat. I had the locks changed that morning, so he couldn't enter. He stood at my door for 25 minutes before departing. Following that, everyone began sending texts. "Mom. Please do not do this. We can work things out as a family. Dad. We need to discuss the business. This is more than personal feelings. Chloe. Come on, sis. Are you really going to abandon your family over this? Sorry, but these things do happen. Can't we just get past it?" That text caused my blood to boil all over again. Sometimes these things just happen. I sent it to Mom with the simple statement, "This is who you raised. Congratulations." Her response was, She is young and made a mistake. Don't cause problems by carrying grudges. We are family. Avoid causing controversy. That's what drove me from walking away to aggressively burning everything down. See, I was planning to simply break contact and go on with my life. Get therapy, heal, and meet someone who isn't a cheating piece of rubbish. But Mom's SMS message solidified something for me. They didn't believe what transpired was wrong. They simply felt I was overreacting. So I decided to give them a genuine problem to worry about. Remember the supplier ties I'd developed? It's time to activate them. I contacted their lumber supplier first. These guys contributed over 55% of our materials for residential construction. I had a wonderful rapport with the owner, Paul, who always appreciated how quickly I handled payments and detected invoicing errors before they caused problems. Hey Paul, just a heads up, I informed him over the phone. I am no longer with the company. My sister is taking over the finances, and she has some different notions regarding payment conditions. He became quiet. Different how? Well, you remember how we always did net 30 and paid on time? Yeah, I can't say whether that will continue. I just thought you should know. He thanked me for the warning. Within a week, he had altered Dad's account from net 30 to payment upon delivery. There will be no more floating costs between projects. I made similar calls to the other big suppliers. I didn't explicitly criticize the company, I simply stated that I no longer managed funds and could not guarantee future payment reliability. The majority of them tightened their terms quickly. Then I contacted Grant, the property developer whose company generated approximately 45% of Dad's revenue. I went him to lunch and told him the entire tale. He winced in sympathy and said he had previously considered my warning. Your sister put in a bid for the Oak Street project, he told me. It's about 35% lower than what you would normally quote because she doesn't understand the margins. I said she believes she can make it up someplace. But she can't. You'll get halfway through the project, and either the quality will suffer, or she'll request additional money. Grant nodded slowly. What would be your bid? I mentally calculated the costs, materials, labor, and a reasonable profit. I gave him a value that was approximately 30% higher than Chloe's bid, but still attainable. That's more in line with what I expected, he told me. Tell you what, I'm going to deny your father's bid. If you ever start your own consulting firm, please let me know. I'd rather work with someone who understands what they're doing. That lunch planted a seed. The following week, Dad and Chloe began to feel the pressure. Dad contacted me personally, bypassing the typical sequence of guilt texts. We need to talk about the supplier situation, he continued, trying to appear authoritative but mostly sounding strained. They're changing our payment terms. Do you know anything about it? I have no idea, Dad. I'm no longer with the company, remember? Those ties took years to develop. Yes. They did. Built by me. By being dependable and professional. Perhaps they are simply adjusting to the new management structure. He was quiet for a long time. Oak Street also fell through. Grant said our bid was unrealistic. That's unfortunate. You spoke with him, didn't you? I ate lunch with a previous client as a private citizen. Is this illegal? He hung up on me. Mom's text messages became increasingly frequent. I was being vindictive. This was impacting the entire family. Why couldn't I simply let it go? They apologized. But they weren't. Not really. There was no explanation for what they had done wrong. Just sorry you're angry. Sorry this occurred, and let's go on. So I continued going. I established a consulting LLC. It took me 2 weeks to register everything and put together a rudimentary website. Then I contacted my network, which included contractors, project managers and developers, and offered financial consultation, bid preparation, supplier negotiations, bookkeeping, cash flow triage, and whatever else they required. Within a month, I had 4 clients. Within 2 months, I was earning more than my day job. I gave notice at my analytic job and joined full-time consultancy. Here's the best part. 3 of those clients previously subcontracted for Dad's firm. They didn't switch despite him. They simply needed financial advice. And I was accessible. However, projects that would have gone to Dad were now directed to competitors who had their numbers together. Dad's business began hemorrhaging. Not in a dramatic way, but gradually and steadily. Projects bid too cheap were under budget on paper but nevertheless lost money. Material expenses exceeded expectations since Chloe had not included shipping fees and waste. Labor ran over because she scheduled everything as if optimism could build concrete on its own. About 4 months after I departed, Dad contacted again. "We need help," he remarked without preface. "The business is in trouble." "I'm sorry to hear that," I responded. "Don't give me the corporate kill mode, Lauren. We can't get good deals from vendors anymore. We are losing bids. Half of our reliable replacements have moved on." "Sounds like a rough market," I responded. "Have you thought about employing a financial consultant?" "I've heard there are some good ones available." He exhaled like if I had hit him. "God damn it. Stop playing games. You're right, it's serious. This is what Chloe and Derek did." "That was your reaction. Don't cause any drama." "This is not drama, Dad. This is business. If we go under, your mother and I will lose everything. The house, our retirement, everything." That caused me to pause. Not out of sympathy, but to better grasp the situation. "What do you mean, everything?" He had used his house as collateral for business debts. Growth had resulted in debt. It was effective for managing cash flow. Now not so much. "How deep?" I asked. "About $350,000, maybe more." "Jesus, that did not happen in 4 months. How long have you been running at a loss?" Silence. "Maybe a year," he replied. "Chloe said she had it under control." "Of course she did." "Has she been paying herself a salary the entire time?" "She's the managing partner," he added hesitantly. "She deserves compensation." "How is that working out?" "Here's my offer," I said. "I will consult for your company. My hourly cost is $250 with a minimum of 25 hours per week and bi-monthly billing. Payment is expected upon receipt. I'll evaluate the finances, develop a reasonable budget, and renegotiate with suppliers wherever possible. Condition 1. Chloe is not involved in any financial decisions. Second, each important business decision must go through me first. 3. We never discuss personal family issues. This is strictly business. That is extreme. You used to do it for free. I used to do a lot of things before your daughter slept with my lover in your home for 4 years while you all turned a blind eye. Prices have risen. Take or leave it." He took it. Desperation is a very powerful pen. I arrived Monday with a contract that would make a loan shark pleased. Aside from my salary, I had clauses for decision-making authority, full access to data, and the right to leave with 2 weeks' notice if they did not follow suggestions. Then I began the audit. It was worse than I had expected. Chloe had not just been awful, she had been horrifically careless. I discovered $55,000 in unpaid invoices for finished work because she failed to deliver them. I discovered $35,000 in duplicate supplier payments because she did not check ledgers before clicking pay. 3 large jobs were bid so cheap that they were undoubtedly losers. Chloe's work credit card for client schmoozing resembled restaurants, gas for her own car, and 1 weekend in Vegas. Payroll taxes had not been filed correctly in 7 months, resulting in penalties as if it were a hobby. I documented everything and sent Dad a beautiful report with a cover note. This is what happens when you give over a business to someone based on preference rather than expertise. Then I outlined my recommendations. Chloe is instantly removed from any financial authority. Set up automatic payments for your recurring bills. Call the IRS to renegotiate. It'll cost around $12,000 in penalties, but it's better than the alternatives. Stop accepting new projects until we have completed and billed existing ones. Dad takes a lower income for 7 months to rebuild funds, cancels the corporate card, and requires Chloe to reimburse personal expenses. Dad agreed to everything except removing Chloe from the company totally. "She's still my daughter," he explained. "She deserves a place." "Fine," I said. I rewrote her role. She may keep her position, accept a 35% pay cut, and have no access to funds, client correspondence, or bidding. She was a project manager without any power. Chloe discovered the truth and became distraught. She called me, her voice shaking with wrath. "You're trying to destroy me." "No," I replied. "I'm limiting the harm. The difference now is that I'm compensated to clean up your mess." "You've always been jealous," she snarled. I laughed. "What are you jealous of? Your ability to detonate anything you touch? Your intention to disappoint everyone including yourself? Sure. I'm extremely jealous." Over the next few weeks, I completed exactly what I was hired to accomplish. No more or less. I renegotiated supplier conditions, which were not as favorable as before but still better than pay on delivery. Collected the unbilled funds and established an accounting system that even Dad could follow. The business has stabilized. It did not grow, but the hemorrhage subsided. Sustainable for operations but not for Dad's retirement plan. About 6 months later, Mom called for the first time since the implosion. "Your father is exhausted," she explained. He's 66 and works 60-hour weeks. This has to cease. I agree, I replied. He should sell the business and retire. It's his legacy, she explained. Then he should have thought about that before handing it to someone who had no idea what she was doing. What do you want from me, mother? I asked. Come back. Run it properly. Help him retire in dignity. At what cost? Do I just forget that Chloe spent 4 years sleeping with my boyfriend? Pretend you didn't look the other way. Your first answer was, don't cause drama. We didn't know, she insisted. Sure, I replied. Derek spent each Sunday at your house. Chloe too. Do you think they were just great friends? You saw what you wanted to see because it was simpler. She had nothing for it. Here's what's going to happen, I stated in response. I will complete my deal. 5 months remain. During that time, I will prepare the business for sale. Dad can retire. Downsizing is an option. Chloe can plan her own career. After that, I'm finished. No family dinners. No holidays. No pretending. You're being cruel. No. I'm finally being honest. I then hung up. True to my word, I spent the following 5 months putting things in order. I improved systems, documented every procedure, created a portfolio of completed tasks, and quietly contacted my professional network to discover potential buyers. Eventually, I discovered one. A mid-sized construction company moving into our region. They were impressed by the way I had rebuilt things, the transparency of the documents, and how clean everything looked after years of chaos. They offered $850,000 for the business. After repaying their debts, Dad and Chloe would have approximately $450,000. If they were wise, they could afford a tiny condo and a tranquil existence, but not enough to retire in Italy. The transaction completed 2 months ago. I attended the final signing not as a family member, but as a consultant. I shook hands with the new owners, handed over all of my documents, and walked out the door. Dad followed me to the parking lot. His voice was quiet and tired. Lauren, I know things didn't go the way anyone wanted. They went exactly the way you made them go, I informed you. You preferred Chloe over competence. You chose tranquility over accountability. These are the consequences. He looked down. She's still your sister. Biologically, I answered. In every other way that matters? Number. We're finished. I drove away. I didn't look back. The irony is that drive seemed like the first truly liberating moment of my life. For years I'd been the one who fixed things, made peace, and cleaned up other people's messes. But for once I wasn't repairing. I was finished. What about the epilogue? It's good. Very good. My consultancy business is prospering. I'm earning 3 times what I used to as a financial analyst, working half the hours, and picking who I work with. I'm not gaslighted by anyone. Nobody takes advantage. Because of family, no one turns up my work to anyone else. It turns out that peace of mind pays more than any promotion could, and sure, I am seeing someone new. His name is Ethan. He's a project manager at one of my clients' businesses. Smart, grounded, and the type of calm that doesn't need to prove anything. When I gave him the whole tale, including the terrible parts, he didn't feel sorry for me. He did not make a joke about it. He just looked at me and remarked, "You're way nicer than I would have been. We're taking things slowly. There will be no love bombing, drama, or countless promises that will fade in the light of day." He understands what I've been through and doesn't try to cure it. He's just listening. Sometimes all healing need is someone who sees the scar and does not flinch. Tyler, my best friend, will occasionally provide me with an update. He still speaks with people who know my family. Dad and Mom reportedly sold their home and relocated to a smaller unit. They're assisting Chloe with her rent, so the money is disappearing faster than intended. Of course they are. It turns out that when you lose your lucrative fictional job and have no real-world experience, starting over isn't as appealing as it seems. She's been switching professions every other week, talking big about a new company idea, and still believes the universe owes her another shot. And Derek. He attempted to contact you a few months ago. A lengthy, dramatic text explaining how he is in therapy, how he has understood all he done wrong, and how he wishes to apologize properly. I read it, felt nothing, and erased it. Chloe also texted. I hope you are happy now. You destroyed our family's business solely to exact retribution. I replied to that one. No, Chloe, I did not destroy anything. I rescued what I could from your stupidity, saved Dad enough to retire, and moved away. The fact that you see me refusing to sacrifice myself for you as vengeance reveals everything about who you are. Do not contact me again. She did not. People occasionally ask if I regret the nuclear option, the scorched earth policy, or the utter separation. What's the truth? Not even a little. I regret believing in those who did not deserve it. I regret assuming that family meant unconditional support rather than a one-sided transaction. But stepping away, taking charge of my life and allowing those who deceived me to suffer the consequences of their own actions. No regrets. Mom's last text was almost a month ago. Family is supposed to forgive each other. My response was straightforward. Family is supposed to avoid screwing each other over in the first place. You should try that with your next child. I then blocked her number. That was the last time any of them communicated. So yes, Reddit. That is my story. My sister slept with my boyfriend. My relatives warned me not to stir trouble. So I did what I do best. I calculated. I performed. And I came out richer, calmer, and more free. These days, I wake up, make coffee, open the balcony door, and breathe. There's a type of peace that only comes when you stop allowing people to drain you. The business keeps me busy, but not exhausted. I chose my clients and my hours. I no longer have to supervise ineptitude. I truly enjoy my work. And Ethan, the new guy, is the first person to make the silence feel like home rather than lonely. We are not rushing anything. We do not need to. I've already been through a hurricane. I don't need fireworks right now. I need warmth. Sometimes I go back to that Sunday supper, that dreadful silence before the chaos. The way Mom gasped, Dad yelled, Chloe froze, and I went out without saying goodbye. At the moment, it seemed like my life was collapsing, but it wasn't. It was clearing. They say that revenge solves nothing. Maybe they are right. But peace solves everything. Because devastation is not always the best form of vengeance. It is becoming untouchable. And that is precisely what I became. These days, I hardly think about them. Not out of bitterness, but because they no longer exist in my daily existence. The few mutual pals who still speak with Chloe claim she is reinventing herself. She uses social media to share encouraging quotations about growth and forgiveness, which is ironic given that she has never apologized. Naturally, Mom likes each and every post. Dad simply does not use the internet. I suppose shame has a way of silencing individuals. What about me? I'm good. Better than good. I used to believe that serenity was something you had to earn, that if you worked hard enough, stayed quiet enough, and forgave quickly enough, it would ultimately come to you. But peace is not given. It's taken. It is selecting yourself, even if others consider it selfish. A few nights ago, Ethan and I were sitting on the balcony, wine glasses half full with the city lights flickering below. He asked me, "Would you ever return?" Not to them, but to the older version of yourself. I laughed. The one who believed that loyalty equaled self-sacrifice? Number. She's gone. He grinned slightly and nodded. Good. She deserved better. There are no grandiose statements or pledges, just a peaceful understanding. And, to be honest, that is exactly what I had been craving all along. These are not great gestures. Just peace. My therapist once told me, healing isn't always about repairing bridges. It's learning that some people were never meant to cross the same river with you. I think about this a lot since it's exactly what happened. I didn't burn any bridges, I created new ones that lead somewhere greater. Sometimes I get those Facebook memories, family gatherings, birthdays and all those posed smiles. For a moment it stings. But then I remember what those photographs conceal. Favoritism, quiet manipulation, and the unwavering assumption that I would solve everything. I close the app, take a big breath, and return to the life that is now mine. Ethan and I have been discussing vacationing next year. Nothing fancy. Perhaps somewhere peaceful, the ocean, the mountains, away from everything that used to hurt. He joked that I'll probably continue to check my emails from the beach. And he's probably correct. Old habits die hard. But this time, it will be my job, my success, and my peace. Sometimes I wonder whether Chloe is awake at night wondering about all she has lost. Not necessarily me, but the narrative of her life in which she was untouchable and any mistakes were put under the brush. Maybe she does, maybe not. Regardless, it is no longer my problem. For the first time, my life is clear. No confusion, no emotional debt. Simply equilibrium. And if somebody from my former life comes across this piece and recognizes themselves in these lines, here's what I'd say. You did not break me. You released me. So that's how I lost my family, found my freedom, and discovered that sometimes the cleanest revenge isn't destruction, but elevation. Because peace is the type of prosperity that no one can take. And I'm finally rich. It had been 14 months since the dinner that ended everything. I've never felt lighter. The flat that previously felt too quiet now feels like home. The hum of the city at night, the clink of my coffee mug on the counter in the morning, tiny sounds that remind me I'm creating a life for myself. There is no shame, no chaos, and no avoiding other people's stupid actions. Ethan is still here, stable as ever. He is patient in a way that used to make me suspect, as if I was waiting for the catch, the treachery, or the inevitable mask to fall. But it has not. He is the type of man who does not need to prove his worth by bringing others down. He inquires before he touches. He listens to what I say. He shows up. We're still taking things slowly, which is exactly the way I prefer it. There's no timetable, no pressure, and no faking. Sometimes we work side by side in silence, me on my laptop, him sketching out blueprints for a project, and the silence feels like protection. My business has increased in size. What began as a simple revenge effort grew into something real and powerful. I currently have a small crew of 2 analysts, 1 bookkeeper, and a part-time helper. They joke that I manage things like a Navy commander. Maybe I do, but they're happy, well paid, and we do a damn fine job. A few weeks ago, I received an email from Grant, a developer who previously worked at my father's company. He invited me to bid on a huge new project. He stated that he would not trust anyone else with his finances. That email made me laugh, not with arrogance, but out of relief. Proof that everything I'd done, every difficult decision, every boundary imposed, had been worthwhile. I didn't burn any bridges. I just quit crossing the ones that went nowhere. Chloe, according to what I hear, is working part-time at a design studio, still tweeting about new beginnings, and apparently, finding herself. Mom and Dad sold the condo again and moved.